Hello ladies, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you all for being here today. Just because the most important thing is, which we need to remind ourselves of, is that you matter as well. And it's a bit like the sort of like, you know, love is never ending, kindness is never ending, but we need to offer that to ourselves as well. And if you are happy with yourself and healthy for yourself, then you're going to be a lot better for everybody else. I think it's really important there's lots of repeat guests, which is fabulous, but there's some new visitors here, and I think it's really important that everybody knows why we do what we do and the essence behind it. 12 years ago, it'll be 12 years this year, we lost our eldest son, Matt, to a heart attack. He was only 21. So I literally wanted to die at that point. It was irrelevant whether I had any other children, whether I had a husband or dogs or friends or family. That intensity of losing a child is so huge at that moment in time. I just thought, I just can't live. I don't know how I can live without him, but I have managed to live without him. And I'm wanting to share how we do that. And it's exhausting. And I found I had to start looking after myself properly, because I thought my children and my husband in particular couldn't afford to lose anybody else. So I felt a huge responsibility to look after me. That being selfish, but put me up there with my family, with my friends. I'm just as important as everybody else. So I could then have a conscience that I did the best I could to be there for the kids as they were all managing living with such trauma, which is for life. It doesn't go. That's still not going to be here till the day I die. So you live with it all the time. But I found joy and I found happiness. People used to say to me, you've got to be strong for the children. And I used to say to them, well, what does that mean? What are you saying? What do you mean I've got to be strong? I chose to be real. I chose to share with the children when I was just beside myself in grief and loss. I cried in front of them. I was joyful in front of them. I was enthusiastic for our future ahead, because that's real. It's not real to say everything's fine, because it's not fine. And I hope we've taught our children and hopefully our friends along the way that we can find light again, and we can live with pain and peace and joy and happiness all at the same time. It is possible. We are amazing human beings. And I've realised that with what I've had to go through. We are absolutely incredible. All of you are incredible. You don't know how amazing your body is. And you've got to be mindful about what you tell your mind, because your mind's just like a computer. Whatever you feed it will create your reality. And you feed a lot of stuff that's not yours. It's other people's things. And you take on other people's things. So I decided with Ruth and a couple of other practitioners that we would do a Loving Yourself Day, which would be to offer information on natural, holistic, energetic, working with nature principles. And I try and mix them all up and, I know everybody's on a different journey and they're all looking for different things on different levels. Some people have gone, very woo-woo, like I would call myself woo-woo, and I'm very proud of it. Other people are just dipping their toes into certain things and then, I'm questioning this, or I wouldn't mind looking into that. So the whole point of today is there's no judgment, there's no telling anybody anything. It's just you're here because you're meant to be here, and you will pick up something today that will resonate with you, and you'll walk away either feeling part of a lovely community. It could be just that and you want to come back again, or you might think, God, that talk really resonated with me, or that aligns with something I'm not really happy about in my life, and what have you. So that's all you have to do today, is enjoy today, soak up what's necessary and what resonates with you, and walk out the door and take it with you out the front door. We've got 3 talks this morning, and then I do lunch, and then the afternoon's a little bit more relaxed. We're going to do some emotional freedom tapping, and we're going to do, I'm going to do a little bit of a talk, and we're going to do mood boards, and then we're going to finish it with a really, really beautiful gong bath next door in this snuggly room. So Ruth's my foundation. You are. I don't know what I'd do without Ruth.
Oh.
The conversations we have, the support she gives, she is a very beautiful soul, and all the other practitioners that are here today. And every time we've done this, we base it around the seasons, because we're trying to work with nature and what nature's messages are. And we try and mix it up a little bit. We've got Julie here who's going to do some EFT, and we've got Katrina's an osteopath and a gentle cranial osteopath as well. We've got Natasha who's on a journey with angel cards. Juliette's going to talk about gut health as well, which I think is a buzzword at the moment, and we need to sort of understand what it is. And then I'll probably waffle a little bit more this afternoon when it's a little bit more interactive. And Ruth, I don't know, how do I describe Ruth with what she does? She's reflexologist, she's
angel
massage, she's an earth angel really. And then we've got Jenny who's back there, who is equally incredible. She's predominantly a Reiki healer, but you're always more than that initial statement, which is doing some amazing courses and supporting so many people on loads of different levels. Have I forgot anybody? Well, Frankie! You see, I tried to be really clever and do it without words. So Frankie is becoming a witchy poo too. Aren't you? And she's loving it, absolutely loving it. And she's being a little bit sort of alternative, not going down the sort of mainstream career path, wanting to do things that resonate with her. She's got an amazing combination between working for an alcoholic, not alcohol company. Yeah, there's a lot of drinking going on, and it's called Pimente. She's loving that, and it's with young people, and it's small, and it's vibrant, and it's exciting. And then she works for Tropic, which is all about natural skincare. And the thing is, you have to know, some of you know this already, but your skin is your biggest organ. What you put on your skin will go into your body. And one of the interesting things is that you sometimes say to people, Frankie, is, what shampoo do you use? They're going, well, I've come here for a facial, or I've come here for that. But you stand in the shower and you wash your hair. Where does it go when you rinse it off? That product all over your body. So you're having an amazing time with Tropic, aren't you, Frankie? It's probably less part of your focus at the moment, but she's very kindly offering to do facials today, and is going to be around if anybody wants to have a chat with her, and all very, very low key. The third thing Frankie is doing is she's got a podcast called Lost and Found with Frankie. So when she lost Matt, she found that there was very little support for siblings. And you're now in a place where you want to help other people. And so it's podcast, YouTube, it's everywhere, isn't it? On every platform, and half of them I don't even know or understand. but it's out there, and it is phenomenal. And she is reaching loads of people, and more than the likes you get, you get ticks, you'll be reaching more people than that. And it's very cathartic for Frankie, but it's also very triggering, so she's managing to have breaks. So if you do know that any young people are struggling and they've lost somebody, signpost them to all the interviews that Frankie is doing, because they're pretty amazing, and they're real. They laugh with the people they interview. They cry, they talk about the serious stuff. There's black humour, it's everything, because it touches everything. Grief. So I'm very, very proud of Frankie for doing that. And the other essence of this day is, with the money that we make from the day, because we try and keep it really reasonable, because we don't want people that can't afford to spend £200 to go to a retreat day. We're trying to keep the costs down. So we do the minimal fee for you to come in, and then if you want to spend any more, you can have an extra treatment, or you can just come for the whole day. And a gong bath would cost you £50, to be honest with you. So we want as many people to be able to get the information and enjoy the day as possible. And all the practitioners here give their time freely, which I'm very, very grateful for. And it's their giving. And anything that we make at the end of the day, we put into grief projects, and they will change all the time. We'll just look at what's happening, who we might think we can support. Last retreat day, we supported Lost and Found with Frankie, and it's helped her fund having to pay for the recording studios to do the interviews, what have you, and to be able to reach more people and help people share their story. So we'll look again at what the next project will be. I do host a kindness cafe, and we're moving down to what used to be the Medicine Garden, but it's called the Walled Garden. And well, it says the Walled Garden on the Instagram
website.
Okay, so it's the gardens. This is dot the i's and cross the t's over here. Vanessa.
Someone's got to keep her in check.
She does. She's brilliant. She's amazing. Vanessa is amazing. She's a gorgeous lady. So we're going to move down there, and I'm going to spend this year developing that side of support, whilst continuing with what we're doing here. We are having a meeting with as many practitioners that can make it this month to chat about how we can do more to help everybody. So there's a sheet of paper on the table. If there's anything that you think you are interested in or you'd like to know more about, then we're really good at scheming together as practitioners and pulling all sorts of gorgeous things together outside of the 4 retreats that we do. So please put down anything on there that you're interested in wanting to know more about, because then that will help us to do more for you guys when we meet up in February.
April. April. Next one.
No, we're meeting up in February to talk
Oh,
about
sorry,
it.
darling, sorry. I thought you meant for the next
I have to give them a check too. I think that's it.
Next one, April.
Yeah, the next one's April the 19th. We do, as I say, we do them seasonal. The bell tent will be up. Oh yeah, just so you know what's happening today, I do put something up on the table as the itinerary of the day, but we're going to stay where we are now. Ruth's going to do a really lovely grounding meditation. There's going to be 3 ladies doing some talks. I've made you lunch, and there'll be some snacks available for you to help yourself to tea, coffee. You know, make it feel like you're in home. And then this afternoon, we're going to have some emotional freedom tapping, which is amazing. And then I might do some bit more waffling and talk about various bits while we do mood boards. And then we're going to finish with Amy doing the gorgeous gong bath next door. Remember, we're still in winter, so you've still got to keep nurturing yourselves. We've got another month to go, haven't we? So keep, looking after yourself, resting, sleeping, because you're going to all jump out in spring like the daffodils. Because what is it? Is it the Leo moon?
Full moon.
The moon in Leo.
Yeah.
And a group that I'm on just sent something this morning actually, which I really wanted to share with you. And rather than going really wordy about the meaning of the Leo moon, it just says, shine your fucking light.
Oh, no.
Because you've all got something to offer. Don't let this world tell you that you haven't. Don't let anybody dull your light. You're here for a reason. You've got something to give. So do it. Doesn't matter what it could be tiny. You can tell someone they look cool. Just have a match that every day I'm going to tell somebody on the street that they look lovely in their red coat. It doesn't matter. Or go big. It doesn't matter what you do, but just think of something that you can do to shine your light. Don't let anyone else dim it. Promise me that. So, Ruth, have I forgotten anything? Vanessa?
I'll let you know.
She will. Frankie? Apart from forgetting Frankie. I always forget someone, it's just your turn. There's loads of people to remember. So I'm going to hand you over to Ruth now. She's going to guide us into just a lovely grounding meditation before we start with the talks.
Don't worry too much, don't panic if you have never done any meditation before. Good. So as Debbie mentioned, it's full moon in Leo, and I felt this morning I got all my stuff ready last night, and then something said to me, take a moonstone, because I work with crystals, so take a moonstone for the guests. So I put a handful, thinking, Debbie said about 16 people, and I'm looking around thinking, But anyway, there should be enough for the guests. I'll put them in all four corners here. So if you ever feel just drawn to taking a stone that's for you to keep, you're welcome to have one. You can hold it if you want to. If you feel drawn now to take one, if you've been watching and you've, if you want to come through and you just want to hold it, especially while you're doing this meditation, you're welcome. And then that's helpful. Sorry, there's plenty actually. So if do you want to? If anyone else wants to come and get one, please do.
Frankie, got
What is the Leo moon?
Full moon.
Live that down now.
Yeah, it's about. Yeah. So full moons are about releasing and letting go.
Right.
Ideally, in a nutshell, I won't talk too much about the moon because I've really got to get on with the day. But in a nutshell, full moons generally about the energy building up, to this beautiful light, and the light shining on you, like Debbie said, or allowing that light to shine, to light up what it is potentially that you need to or would like to let go of in order to then step forward in that cycle. So there's a cycle with a new moon of new beginnings and new creations, and I mean there's so much more. I'm not an astrologer, I always say that, so I don't go, but I'm quite interested in the cycles. I love the cycles of nature and the cycles of, like the solstices and the equinoxes. That's kind of where my heart is, really. But yeah, so in a nutshell, full moon's about shining light on what we can let go of in order to move on in freedom, to then create new beginnings, new seeds when the new moon comes. So, but this Leo one is particularly, and I feel it's really aligning with sort of larger energies that are going on at the moment, as we shift. Again, I don't want to go too much into it, but there's a big shift at the moment energetically from shedding the year of the snake and the Chinese New Year into the year of the fire horse. And this is really about kind of shedding the old skin, shedding the old ways. What is it that you're still clinging on to, that whether they're like limiting beliefs or, I'm not good enough for this, so-and-so's doing that, wow, I'd love to do that, but I can't because I'm not good enough, or I didn't get that knowledge, or, it's bullshit, sorry, excuse my language, but, you have the ability, like Debbie said, we really need to get this away from how we've been kind of conditioned with old systems and society, and we need to get away from thinking that we can't do something, because we are powerful human beings, and you really can. So it takes time. Limiting beliefs take time to work through, but that's just one little aspect. So I'm Ruth, holistic therapist, energy therapist, been doing it for over 20 years. I started taking kind of meditation circles, a bit like this, just to help myself in the practice as well, in my early 20s with a lady, and just love the benefits of just meditation, but not like I was brought up with TM meditation, which is a transcendental meditation with a mantra where you just repeat. Just didn't work for me. So I just kind of organically grew into finding my own kind of way, and I'm very much guided. Universal energies that I feel work with me when I do all my work, and just with my own, like by connecting in with our own selves, who are, we are very powerful, as I said, human beings. And that's really where my passion now lies, with through the therapies and through meditation is really connecting people to their inner light and who they really are, and allowing that light, coaxing that light out and to shine through, because that light, that consciousness is within all beings, it's within all things. That is, consciousness is energy, and that flows throughout Mother Earth, it flows throughout the creation and the universal energies as well. So, would you like to connect? Mm-hmm. So if you've got your moonstone, if anyone else wants one, we're just going to do a very short, as Debbie said, just a coming together, because whenever we do a day like this, it's really lovely as a collective just to connect, just to come in, just to leave whatever has been at the energies of the morning or the weekend, day before, just to switch off, tune in. Alright, so just find yourselves a comfortable position. Maybe I invite you to put your feet on the floor. And just be aware of the space that you're in. And we don't just have our physical energy, we also have a mental energy as well, or energies. So just observe what's going on in the mind. Maybe something you've heard has ignited some thoughts. Just allow those thoughts to come and pass. And there's no judgment here at all. I just want you to also connect with your breath. And if it helps for people that don't do this regularly, or even if you do, you can place your hand on your abdomen and just feel if your abdomen is moving as you breathe in. Feel if it's coming out. We need your abdomen to expand as you breathe in and retract as you breathe out. Just be aware of your shoulders coming up towards your ears. If they are, just allow them to drop down your body, away from your ears. So breath, posture, observing the mind. Just observe that breath. Connect inward with that breath. Watch that breath as you breathe in and out. And it's your awareness, that part of you that is the watcher, the observer, that is observing that breath. And it's the breath that breathes the body. It is our breath that is the vital force within us. How often do we not recognize our breath? We just take it for granted. So it's in times like these when we connect. They're really useful for those times when we're hurried or stressed, where we can just stop and take some conscious breaths. And now just feel where you are seated. Just be aware of the foundation beneath you, whether it's the floor or a chair. Just bring your awareness to that. And if you want, you can even say, I am sitting or standing and I am connected to the foundation beneath me. If that helps you just to make that connection. And if feet are on the floor, just really be aware of the earth that's beneath this foundation. And the earth herself that provides so much to us. The nourishment, the energy, the water, the sustenance. Just sense a cultivation of gratitude now. Also to yourselves for being here, for being present, for wanting to nurture you, to wanting to connect deep within. And likewise, we recognize the energies of the universe, the vastness of the connection that we have with all that is, the cycles of this lovely moon. So allow that full moon and the energies of that full moon that have such an impact, especially on us as females, on our feminine energy. Just allow that light to shine on you now. Ignite the light within your heart space. And perhaps just ask yourself, you don't need the answer to come straight away, but how can I shine my light today or this week? What is it that makes me feel happy and joyful when I shine my light? And don't search for answers, just allow them to come. It might come to you from someone else with a compliment, something that perhaps you haven't seen. And that's okay. And just notice that quiet and that peace now, where we can fall into this space so easily, so quickly. If anyone's holding that moonstone crystal, just see if that energy is speaking to you in any way, either now or throughout the day. And this is a safe space for all, so any emotions or feelings just be encouraged not to suppress them, but to express them. So just bring your awareness now back to your breath, taking a nice deep breath in and sighing it out, and another one, bringing your awareness now back to the room, to your body where it's sitting or standing.
Thank you for the meditation, Ruth. Ruth's gone up now, but that was really helpful for me because I always get nervous about speaking. Even though I've been to, before the conflict, I've been to Russia and taught in places like Moscow and things like that. But you guys are a lot more friendly than. So, hello and thank you for being here, and thank you to Debbie for inviting me and allowing me to contribute to this wonderful day. It really is a very special thing that she organises, and I just want to acknowledge the emotions of gratitude and love that I feel towards her for this. And you will notice on a day like today, most of us are going to be feeling a lot of those pleasant emotions of love, joy, gratitude, peace and contentedness as we connect and share and collaborate and nurture each other as a community today. So my intention is to talk for about 20 minutes about something called emotional processing to help with pain and symptoms, and then include a brief experiential exercise at the end if you're interested in participating and are curious, but this is entirely optional, and I'll explain a bit more about it before we do it. So the title of my talk is Why Repressed and Suppressed Emotions, which Ruth touched on, cause pain and symptoms, and ways in which we can help ourselves to process emotions healthily. And also this ties in with the talk this afternoon, EFT, which is a very effective way of processing emotions. But before we begin, I just want to ask the question, when you heard, or maybe just heard me then, say I'm going to do a talk on emotions, how did you feel? You know, curious, deflated, filled with dread, bored, oh my goodness, not emotions. Emotions are not sexy, okay? I mean, from the masculine point of view, the ideal masculine, would you believe, is to show no emotions and to have power over women. So when they did a survey of what the ideal masculine is. But as women, as women, we are naturally more tuned into emotions because, we're often the nurturers and we're the communicators, yeah? And maybe you thought, oh, emotions are challenging, or yes, fab, let's talk about emotions. I love talking about emotions, but my experience, I'm Kat, my professional name on my card is Katrin Meir, and for the last 20 years I've been a biodynamic cranial osteopath, which you probably know as craniosacral therapy. I'm also a traditional osteopath, I do all the kind of rubbing down, and so if you want that today, just let me know. If you hate lying still because you've got ADHD or something, that's fine. I'll do whatever you want. But if you want to try craniosacral therapy with me, then let me know. But I'm also the last 3 years I've been specialising in the treatment of chronic pain, and I'm registered with the General Osteopathic Council and a professional organisation called Stress Illness Recovery Practitioners Association. And it was my training with this organisation that helped me recover from my own long-standing persistent hip and back pain, which I'd had for over 10 years. So osteopathy had helped me with this a great deal, but I never fully resolved it. So I always used to have to go back and see my osteopath about once a month or once every couple of months to sort of, keep my back and my hip going. But with this sort of stress illness recovery approach, I've fully resolved it. So, and it was this latter journey of recovery where I discovered the fundamental importance of something called emotional processing. And I've learned effective ways which work for me and ways which work for my clients. And it really is quite profound how when people learn if somebody's been suffering with chronic pain for years, when they learn to process their emotions, the results are absolutely profound. And this is about offering choice. This is what alternative therapy is about. Yes, you can go to your traditional medical outlet and you can try that, but the people who come to me are the people who have tried literally everything. Yeah, they've had the injections, they've seen the physio, they've seen the consultants, they've just tried everything, but it's the emotional process is one of the things that just unlocks them. Yeah, because they didn't realize. So by the way, does anyone know the difference between repressing your emotions and suppressing your emotions? No, well, I wasn't sure either until really recently, and I was reading a book by Gabor Mate. Do you hear of Gabor Mate? He's brilliant, isn't he? And it's the book, but that particular book, he's got loads of them, is called The Myth of Normal, Trauma, Illness and Healing in a Toxic Culture. So repression of feelings is the compulsive, unconscious inhibition of your emotions. Okay, so it's when you're doing it without realising. So for example, maybe agreeing to opinions that you find repellent, but not realising it until afterwards. So probably what happens more when you're younger and you're in a position with a position of authority, and they're telling you their opinion, and because you're trying to toe the line, you're kind of going yes, 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 but afterwards you think, God, I hated everything that person just said, you know. So that's repression of feelings, and then the suppression is where you're consciously aware that you're inhibiting your emotions. You know, you're doing it deliberately, even though you can feel those emotions. You're doing it deliberately not to show them. And I hadn't really understood the difference, and I think I used to use them interchangeably. But with regard to repression, Gabor Mate says that if you go through life being stressed without knowing it, there's little you can do to protect yourself from it. So, this can be particularly dangerous. And there was a study quoted in his book where they followed 2,000 women over 10 years, over a 10-year period. And those women who were unhappily married and didn't express their feelings were 4 times more likely to die as those women who were unhappily married. Well, they were still unhappily married, but they did talk about their feelings, yeah? So you can see the power of this. And in addition, there's research that shows the link between suppressing emotions and pain, between suppressing emotions and pain and illness, yeah? So that study I just mentioned. But there are also things like functional brain MRIs of people with chronic pain. So they've looked at the difference between somebody who's just got normal pain, as in they've had an injury and they've got pain, and somebody who's had pain for many, many years. And what they find is there's increased activity in the emotional centres of the brain. So basically a chronic pain brain will light up like a Christmas tree when they feel pain, whereas somebody with normal pain, it's just one area of the brain that lights up. So, we're beginning to understand that there's definitely an emotional component to chronic pain. So the other interesting question is, what actually is an emotion? An emotion is a complex, temporary, both psychological and physiological state. So it involves 3 main components. You've got an experience, a subjective experience, like a feeling, something happens to you. Then you've got a physiological response in your body, so like a racing heart or, a tight throat. And then you've also got a behavioural or expressive response as a result. So there's 3 components. And somebody today, we were chatting away, and somebody here was mentioning how they've got one of these faces that tends to show all their emotions, and they find it really hard to not give that away. So there is usually some sort of behavioural response, but very often we're suppressing that. So just to be clear, emotions, they're not all in the mind, they're distinct from thoughts and feelings, and they involve your body too. And all of this is done by something called neuropeptides, which are chemicals that your brain produces to communicate to your body what it wants to do. And there's this whole science of psychoneuroimmunology these days, which shows how negative emotions cause stress, and affects our nervous system and immune system to create pain and illness, which even conventional medicine will acknowledge. So, but very often they're not encouraging people to do much about it other than just go and see your psychotherapist, yeah? Which is great, but it's not necessary to necessarily go into deep psychotherapy in order to just process your emotions. So what is emotional processing? I'd never heard of it before I started doing this work, so and it's a bit of a buzzword now, but it's a sort of psychological mechanism of recognizing, digesting, and managing emotional experiences, particularly stress, to sort of restore internal balance. So we all know what it feels like when an emotion's really taken hold of us and is distressing us, and we just want to get rid of it. Yeah, we just don't want to feel this. And so what there can be a tendency to do is just to suppress it. Yeah, to just lock it down. But that doesn't necessarily give us that neutrality, because it's like holding a beach ball. Trying to hold a beach ball underwater all the time. That takes a lot of energy when something's trying to sort of bubble up. Yeah. And emotions are meant to be, but they have a place. It's part of your nervous system trying to communicate to you, trying to protect you. So, and they are temporary if they're allowed to discharge, and they're only transient. They're not something that's meant to stick around. Emotions are different to something like a mood. A mood is a long-term. We all know people who are moody, probably, don't we? A mood is different. A mood is more of a long-standing thing. But emotions are, they're just these neuropeptides bubbling up in our body, causing all of these sensations, and they can be discharged if you've got methods of knowing how to do it. And I think, I say nobody ever really wants to talk about emotions when they come to see me. And I think it's just cultural partly. So, we've got this, the previous generations weren't very emotional. They didn't have that language. It's sort of developing now, isn't it? So it's how you were raised as a child. Was there an emotional language in your household or not? There's no judgment about that. It's just that, life gets so busy and people just don't want to deal with their emotions. They just want to get on. Yeah. But once you realise that if you just take a bit of time to process them, you can get on much more easily. So from my experience with working with persistent pain, basically what happens is that pain is usually your nervous system communicating danger to you. Yeah. So pain isn't always about damage, but it's always about your nervous system alerting you to danger. And some negative emotions are considered dangerous by the nervous system. Yeah, there are some emotions that we consider so awful that we've even had that emotion that we can't, we can't possibly feel that, and we suppress it. A common example might be, you love your partner, but sometimes you really hate them, because they drive you nuts, and you know what I mean. Those conflicting emotions that come up. So, what are common ways in which we can process emotions? As I mentioned, psychotherapy. A trained professional can guide you carefully through this process. And if you've experienced significant trauma or you've got a mental health condition, you might need this to ensure you're adequately supported. But equally, you can use some of these other things if you don't really need to go down that route. You also want to make sure that you use a psychotherapist who, if you're trying to deal with pain and illness, you need to work with a psychotherapist who knows about processing emotions through the body. Yeah, because it's not just a mind activity. The processing of emotions needs to be done through the body as well when it relates to physical illness and pain. EFT, which is going to be talked about this afternoon and explained, is a fantastic way of processing emotions through the body. Yeah. Talking to loved ones. Okay, so this was the more traditional strategy in which we used to process emotions. Yeah, but in the olden days, there used to be more of an extended family around us, so we couldn't really talk to talking to your parents was really hard, but you might have had an uncle or an aunt or a grandparent that you could confide in and have a good old chat with. And the only thing about talking to your friends, it's really useful, but we have a tendency to censor what we say when we're talking to friends and family, so for fear of judgment. So it might be that we those really dangerous emotions might be avoided. However, it has its place, and it also depends on how capable that loved one is of holding the space for you, because you need somebody to hold the space. So other ways are through periods of quiet reflection, so mindfulness, meditation, contemplation, prayer, breathing practices, anything where you're quietening down, and you're getting yourself into a more calm, neutral state of mind, then it allows us to move from reacting to emotions to responding and allowing them to pass through, as opposed to ruminating and overthinking about it. Another method that we use, and I'm going to go through an experiential exercise on that at the end if you'd like to participate. But other things are journaling. So we use a lot of something called therapeutic journaling or expressive writing. Rage on the page. It's the type of journaling that you do not reread. You rip it up and throw it away, or you double write over it so nobody else can read it. There's no censorship in this. But something about the heart, the hand, and the handwriting down connects the heart to the emotions. And then you wrap it up with, what have I learned, what am I grateful for, so that it doesn't feel just like this negative spiral of words. But there's loads of research around journaling for processing emotions as being really, really effective. There's other things like expressive art forms, drawing, painting, music, dance, drumming, all of these things, if you're in a safe space, can be really useful for helping us express emotions. Exercise. So exercise is a useful tool for helping us to discharge the adrenaline and the cortisol associated with the fight-flight response after a stressful event. So it's really useful for helping us to sort of calm down after we've been really triggered by something, but it doesn't necessarily get into the to the nitty-gritty of really processing the emotion. But if you don't have time to do anything else, exercise is really helpful. And then there's sleep and dreams. So the natural way in which we're processing emotion is all the time is through our sleep and through our dreams. That when our brain chooses to sort of process all the stuff of the previous day during the time of night when our cortisol and adrenaline levels are at their lowest. So that's when it's safest, which is why after a good night's sleep we can have a new perspective. However, if an emotion is really disturbing us because we've been repressing it, we can find sleep difficult. So taking the time out to process your emotions can really help us sleep. There are three key components to emotional processing, and I would say the first one is awareness. So a lot of people find it really difficult to know what their emotions are, and this is something we teach. We teach people how to feel into their body in order to understand what emotions they're actually experiencing. Some people just find that really difficult, and we just start with being able to feel sensations. The second stage is the acknowledgement. So as I said before, if an emotion is considered dangerous, once you acknowledge it, your subconscious then goes, oh, well, if they're acknowledging it, if they're naming it and they're not panicking, then it must be safe. So take the acknowledgement, the naming, the recognising it, is a way in which you take away that danger around an emotion. And sometimes if people are really struggling to name emotion, we use something called a feelings wheel. I don't know if you've ever come across that. It sort of shows the whole gamut of emotions, and it can be really helpful if you're not very good at naming it. And then the final stage is a deliberate intention to sort of let it go, and offering it gratitude for showing itself. So, as I said before, emotions are all part of a nervous system response that's ultimately trying to protect us. And however, they're meant to be transient states. So by suppressing things or repressing things, we keep them locked down, and we usually end up maintaining them. That phrase, what we resist persists. So this is the idea of these protective responses. It's all right to have them. We are whole as to be a whole person means accepting the dark parts of us as well as the light. We have dark emotions. We have shame, guilt, and jealousy, and that's all part of being human. So wholeness is about being able to embrace all of them and accept that. Okay, that occasionally that emotion will pass through me, and it doesn't make me a bad person. So it's that kind of idea. So yeah, and just to be clear, there used to be a way of expressing emotions where people used to kind of, you know, bash on pillows and kind of really let that emotion out. But this isn't like that. You can do this very privately, you know, on your own, just feeling into the emotion, allowing yourself to be with it. You don't have to project it onto anybody else, and you don't have to necessarily tell anybody else. Yeah, so if you have the type of person who is not used to expressing emotions, this stage can be, you know, the first step towards just acknowledging that they're even there. And then finally, a word on emotional hygiene, and I think Debbie touched on this earlier when she mentioned something about this. Remember, you are not responsible for anybody else's emotions, but you are responsible for your emotions. The exception is if you have children, young children, where you are responsible for helping them to learn how to regulate their emotions. But it is impossible for you to determine how someone else feels. So the next time you hear someone say to you, "You made me feel upset," or you say that to someone else, remember that their behaviour may have triggered something in you that upset you, but that is your responsibility. And the same goes the other way round. So rather than worrying about other people's emotions, focus on processing your own for a healthier and happier life. So this bit now is, how are we doing for time? Yeah, great. Okay. So I'm now going to run through a brief emotional processing exercise, okay? Something that you could do in 5 to 6 minutes when you have some quiet time in the evening on a day when someone has triggered you. This is something I do, you know, day in, day out with clients. In this exercise, I'll be quietly guiding you briefly into a calmer state, a bit like the meditation, using something called your felt sense. So using, you know, the feelings in your body. And then I will ask you to select a moment, maybe this week or recently, when something or someone has upset you. But I invite you to choose something minor, okay? Not something that's really big for you, as this is just a little taster experience. So, for example, you know, I mean, this week we lost our internet connection. You know, somebody stole our line, and we were all furious. But yeah, so if you want to do it, choose something where you've been a bit annoyed by somebody that's quite minor. And if this is not for you, or if you have any kind of unprocessed trauma or PTSD back in your background, then I would probably sit this out. All right. So you're welcome to quietly leave, or just quietly sit and look out the window and contemplate the silence and the nice environment. However, I'd appreciate it if, when we're in this space, if you want to sit and look at your phone, just to move out of the space, because what I'm going to try and do is get everybody down into a slightly slower alpha wave, brain wave, whereas when we're looking at our phones and stuff, then we're up in beta, which is where I am now, because I'm really nervous and I'm talk so fast. Okay, so yeah, I'll allow you to just take a couple of minutes to decide if you're going to stay or if you're going to move away. It's up to you. And also maybe to have a think about something that annoyed you, that, you know, recently, that you'd like to, that could be nice to try and process. Okay. So yeah, try and get yourself sat as you were in the meditation in a sort of fairly grounded state. So you've got feet flat on the floor and you've got your back supported by something, and you're nice and relaxed. And if you're happy to, if you feel safe to, close your eyes. If you don't feel safe to, then just lower your eyes. Okay. So, just coming into a feeling of your feet on the floor and your backs and your seats in the chair or whatever it is you're making contact with. And just bringing your attention to the surface contact that you're making. So you're tuning into what it feels like to make contact with the floor and the chair. And you're just saying to your brain and your nervous system, I'm safe, there's nothing going on here, I'm just going on a little journey of exploration. And then, as we did with the meditation, just coming into the feeling of your breathing. So notice the air going in and out of the nose. Feeling the expansion and contraction of your body with the breath. If you'd like to, putting a hand on your belly and just slowing down your in-breath and lengthening out the out-breath. And just noticing what it feels like to breathe. So just tuning into the feeling, the sensation of breathing. Not trying to change it, just noticing what that feels like. And now begin to become aware of any sensations in your body and just allowing them to be there. Allowing your attention to go to those sensations and not trying to change anything. If you feel some areas of tension or heaviness or buzziness, that's okay. Just allow yourself to feel that and be with it. Equally, if you feel some areas of warmth or comfort, allow your attention to go there. And just notice if any thoughts or emotions are arising as a result of all of this. But then just coming back to the felt sense in your body, acknowledging whatever it is that's coming up, and then just being with whatever it is you're experiencing right now. And you're just getting a sense that anything you feel today is welcome. And giving yourself the reassurance that all sensations and emotions are welcome to express themselves. And now, if you would like to, I invite you to bring up the challenging situation in your mind's eye. Just imagining yourself back there, using the memory of it. So for a short while, you just put yourself back into that situation. And when you have that, I'd just like you to notice how your body feels now. Notice, has there been any subtle change in any sensations that you feel? Take a short time to sense this change in sensation or the signal from your body. Just locate where that is and the shape of it and the extent of it. And now see if you can name the emotion. So you've got that memory of the situation and you've got the feeling in your body. What kind of emotion do you think that is? Don't worry if you can't name it exactly, but just try, see what comes up. So now hold the memory of that event and the feeling in your body at the same time. Just allowing it to be there, giving it space and acknowledging it. And now I just want you to ask the question, if you've got that, could I let that go? Just ask yourself the question, could I let that go? And see what answer immediately comes back to you. Notice any changes in the sensation after you get this answer. Or maybe there isn't. That's okay too. Finally, turn towards the emotion and thank it for showing itself and trying to protect you. Well done. Now gently come back to the sensation of breathing as we did before. Just bringing yourself back to the feeling of the air going in and out of the nose and the feeling of the belly rising and falling. And the sensation now coming out to the surface level, the sensation of the contact of your body against the chair and the floor. Just slowly coming back out of the body. And then when you feel ready, just opening your eyes. So thank you and well done. I hope it was interesting and a useful experience. If you struggled with that, don't worry, because many people do, and we usually do quite a bit of training first in just practicing feeling the felt sense in order to help people learn that skill before we go into the emotional side, which makes feeling emotions easier. But yeah, it can be as simple as that. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Natasha, and a few of you do because of previous retreat days that we've had here, so it's nice to see a few faces again. I know my lovely Gillian at the back there. So just to give you a quick rundown on the oracle cards. So I started out just being in property and loads of kind of just normal 3D jobs and getting a bit fed up with the whole thing. And it was it May 2024 we went to the first retreat, which Debs and Ruth and a few other people did at a yurt in West Sussex. And at the time I was very much kind of guided by something. I felt something here, I felt a draw, I felt a pull, felt whatever energy it was, but didn't really know what it was at the time. Other than going to this retreat, we had to sort of go around and introduce ourselves to everybody, and the women that I was listening to, they were sort of saying, well, I'm here because of certain things that have happened, like grief and all various people from different walks of life. And I was sitting there thinking, I don't actually know really why I'm here, but I'm just going to be guided and just to see where my path would take me. And I've kind of ended up finding that I'm really tuned in with crystal dowsers, and those crystal dowsers now help me with choosing cards for people and myself. And it's just been a really lovely journey, just being able to trust in them. If I'm stuck on something, if I feel like I'm at a bit of a crossroads, it's just really nice to get a bit of clarity, and just ask it questions, or ask them questions, and they generally give me some sort of guidance and where to go next kind of thing. So but I think by Deb's giving me the opportunity to actually do this and offer this to clients, so the last one that she did was my first time being sort of let loose on the general public, a few of you. And it was really lovely, because it's actually really reassuring for me that I was trusting in what was in here and actually going with the flow, really. So so going back to how it all kind of first started, so that was my I'm just going to trust and go with the flow. And then Ruth and another friend of ours went away to Avebury. I don't know if any of you have been to Avebury before. I'd never even heard of Avebury. I didn't know that they had the most incredible stone circles. Like, you look at Stonehenge and you think that's amazing, but Avebury just takes it to a whole new level. So, and as women, I think if you get a chance to go there, it is, honestly, you just put yourself up against some of those rocks and you just feel it. It's like amazing.
Where is it?
I want to say Wiltshire.
Yeah, it's Wiltshire Way, isn't it?
Is it?
I've never heard of it.
No, I haven't.
Do you want me to Google it up on my
Yeah, do you mind? Thanks.
It's really special.
It is, yeah. It was-
AVEVURY.
Yeah. And it's the fact that I'd never heard of it, and I love, Stonehenge. So we went off for this lovely weekend away and arrived at Avebury.
Yeah, Wiltshire.
It is Wiltshire.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for
Yeah.
that. So in the heart of Avebury itself, you've got the really, really old traditional pub. And then opposite the pub is this lovely shop called Elements of Avebury, which is very much most normal people might call it a bit of a woo-woo shop. I know my dad would. He'd be like, one of those. But it was full of crystals and oracle cards and paintings and artwork. The normal sort of gift shop in those places. Anyway, the shop, so the front desk, the pavement desk was sort of right in front of me here, and on the right hand side was the window looking back out over to the pub. And all the crystal dowsers were basically just in the window, so the sunlight was coming in, there was rainbow kind of colours all over the place. And I'd never used a dowser before. I'd seen Ruth and a few other people using them, and I actually turned around to Liz and I said, how do you know which one is right for you? Because I wanted to buy one, but I just didn't know, how it was going to be. So she said, go up to them and see if there are any that kind of start swinging. And there were 3 that were already swinging, and so I'm sort of looking at them in the window and they're kind of like going like this. So I took them off, and this was one of them. Okay, so this is my rainbow moonstone, which has just given me loads and loads of guidance, but it was swinging away, and when I actually picked it up, I then said to Liz, well, how do you know that it's right for you? So she said, you just have to ask it to show you a yes. So if I ask it to show me a yes, it starts giving me what I consider a nod. And then if I ask it to show me a no, it does it even before.
Yeah. Was that when you thought it before you said it, do you think?
Yeah, it does connect. It does connect before words even come out sometimes. So, so it was kind of like, well, that's definitely my one. But I actually did try the other ones as well, and they were a bit kind of like, there wasn't much of a signal. So this was the one that I was really drawn to. We then went from Avebury, drove to Glastonbury, and then the following day, because that's where our Airbnb was, we stayed in Glastonbury that night and went and did the shops and had a wander around the village the next day. And we were in this bookshop, and some oracle cards literally jumped out at me, and they were dragon oracle cards. And I've always had a bit of a thing about dragons, not that I kind of watch any of those Game of Thrones, isn't it? I haven't even seen that, but always had this draw. But this dragon pack of oracle cards were like, pick me up, get me off the shelf.
Sorry, what cards are they?
They were oracle cards, but they were called the Dragon Oracle.
Yes, sorry, yes.
So all of the cards, instead of being spirit animals, they were all sort of different dragons and things like that. So I bought them, and then back home that evening in the Airbnb, I was drawn, called, whatever, again here, using this, laid the cards out, and then, bless you, and then this just directed me and chose all these cards for me. And then when I've actually read them, everything that was coming back at me from the reading was so relevant to what was going on in my life at the time. So it was just like, okay. It was like one of those moments where it was actually quite emotional, because it was something I wasn't expecting. So I've just kind of always then, from that moment, trusted my crystal dowsers to choose cards for me.
What's it called, a dowser?
A dowser or pendulum. Yeah, there's
So
two.
it's just on a...
Yeah,
Crystal dowser.
crystal dowser. Yeah. So that's the rainbow moonstone. And then a couple of months back, was last year sometime, I was coming back from Wimbledon. And years ago, I remember a friend of mine taking me to Merton Abbey Mills, and they've got an amazing crystal shop there. And this one jumped out at me when I was wandering around the shop on my own. And again, it just does the same motions.
So is it doing that without you?
Yeah, I'm not swinging it at all. If I was swinging it, I'd be like,
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So is it only you? If anybody else held it, would it do that? or
Anyone
not?
else can? I mean, Jill recently, we were,
I'm just
where were we?
fascinated by
I
it.
don't get. I've tried it and I've got one myself, and I don't get. I get a little bit of a thing.
Do you?
But
But
it's
not-
not like that.
I've never seen anything like that.
No,
Do you have
Likewise.
to actually believe in
Yeah.
it for it to work? Do you know what I mean?
I've,
If I held
I think,
it,
thinking right back, yeah, try it if you want. Thinking right back to when I first thought about it, I think I just literally hold it in your fingers like that.
yeah.
And then if you just hold your hand under it there and just ask it to show you, if I move away, you just ask it to show
Nothing.
you a,
So it's an energy.
Wasn't that
Weird.
It's a bit like Harry Potter, where the wand chooses the child.
Exactly that.
Is chosen
there's definitely,
your energy on it.
yeah. And also, it still gets me every time, when they're really, really powerful, it's like, oh my God, it just, yeah. So the other thing that I kind of work through, so by doing the cards, I get my yeses, I get my nos, and then sometimes the crystal goes in the opposite direction, so it goes clockwise. And when I've asked it to show me a yes, show me a no, and then show me if spirit is close, it gives me a clockwise. So sometimes the cards, when the cards come out, the yes cards tend to be the things that are kind of like present day, things that you're kind of dealing with or going through at the moment. And then if it spins the other way and gives me a spirit one, then I put the cards separate and read those as part of the reading, but sort of second, because they tend to have more kind of long-term messages. That's what I find anyway.
I
So.
want to go and book a session now.
Well, I've got cards up there, so.
I need to do it.
With a session, do you pick a card and then turn it over and read it?
So let me just give you an example
Do you ask?
quickly, because there's some cards here, and now these cards don't have my energy tapped into them, so whether they'll work or not, it's just, so this is what I'll be doing in my room.
When you say you haven't got your energy tapped into them, what do you mean?
Because these aren't my cards.
Oh, they're not
These are
yours.
Debbie's cards,
Oh, I
yeah.
see.
But I mean, they'll have lovely energy because obviously they're Debbie's. But so if I was just reading for you, for instance, so again, I always try to connect with the person that I'm reading for. So Vanessa's actually just been in with me in the room. Jill obviously knows this, that I need to kind of like touch the person that I'm reading for so that we get that connection. I don't know why, again, it's just that's how I'm guided to do it. But if I was just reading for myself and I wanted to choose some cards, so that would be a card that I would pull out. And that's giving me a spirit one, just to show off. Okay, so just out of those few cards, it's chosen me 2. So I've got the Jaguar, Power, Falcon, Breathe.
What's that one?
Falcon, Breathe. The breath, breathe. So if I then went in to read the meaning behind those, it would probably be very relevant to me. So that's
relevant to that lady there, if you've got her name, or is that too subtle?
that would be, yeah, that was just as an example. But if I was reading for you and we were sitting next to each other, I'd kind of like put a foot on hers, or
Right.
we'd have that transfer of
And your
energy.
nail
Yeah.
perfectly matches her leggings.
It does, doesn't it? Yes. So that's kind of how they work. And then when you're actually reading, or I'm reading through the book that corresponds with the cards that have been pulled, that's when it starts really resonating with people. So
And do you have to be a
I
certain
really don't want to.
type of person to be able to do this?
or in theory could anyone do it?
I think I'm pretty sure in theory anyone can do it. I mean, Jill's started. She bought herself a dowser, didn't you, not long ago, and she'll sit at home and do her own readings when she again feels called to it. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, yeah, for me, I think even if you don't, I think we were just saying about believing in it or not, for me it's like, I don't know if I believe, it's not believing it or not, but I don't know what it is, and I'm like one of those people, I like to know why things happen, and sometimes we don't always have the answers, do we? But certainly going through some difficult periods in our lives, haven't we, and just doing those readings, I think for me, even if you think of it as a form of meditation, calming your nervous system down, and reading those messages within the book, they may not mean anything to you, I don't know, but for me, they've all had some sort of meaning, and it's just been calming and reassuring, I think.
And it's giving you that guidance,
Who cares if it's woo-woo or
exactly, we don't care.
We're just going with it, aren't we?
Just going with the flow. And that's
every reading Natasha's done for me has been like, oh my god. Well, you both like,
especially a slap in the face one, isn't it? There's a couple of those have happened recently. So, but so that's kind of that's how it works, really. I don't actually know how it works. That's just how it works for me. That's the guidance that I'm given, and there's definitely something here that says that I want to do this and help other people, and so
it's sort of like asking the universe.
And trusting in the universe as well. Trusting.
And you were
that it's
open to it, weren't you?
Yes,
You were open to explore
absolutely.
it.
So,
I've got my dowsers here if anyone wants to have a play while you're doing your reading.
Oh, yeah.
So
thank you. If anyone wants to have a try, But sorry, go on.
I was going to ask do you use it for decision making around? I mean,
It's a bit of a cheats code. If I'm stuck on something, or if I think, should I go there? Because sometimes, when you have you don't want to let someone down, but actually it's in here, it's like, I really don't want to do it. It doesn't feel right for me, and then you end up going, and you have a time. I'll use it for that as well, because it just, is this right for me? Do I need to be doing this? Do I need to be doing that? And it just gives me a clear yes or a clear no, and it's like, okay, all right, I'm just gonna stay home and
So do you think that's angel guidance, or that's just your inner knowing that you're connecting more with?
I think it's a bit of both. It's using this and actually tapping into this, because it's always been there. But when we lead the busy lives that we lead, we tend to just say,
too much noise up here.
It's too much noise. It's your voice is just saying, no, I'm too busy, I've got to get kids to school, I've got to do this, got to do that. But when you actually stop and you slow down and you start listening to it more, it opens up.
What are different types of cards?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of different types of cards. I've used my dowsers this morning, so I actually bought 5 sets of cards with me that I asked it last night to give me guidance on which ones I should bring with me today. But then again, this morning, when I've come here, I'm obviously in Debbie's space. I've then asked it again to let me know which ones are good for the ladies that I'm reading for today. So.
And do you do it from home or whereabouts are you based?
I live Walton on Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not a million miles
near
away.
Ruth.
Yes, very near Ruth. Yeah. Well, that's basically Ruth, and Jill put me in touch with Ruth, and the rest is history.
And I got pulled to Ruth by a weird twist of fate as well.
Yeah.
So it was almost like
She was
the
amazing.
planet's alive and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Did you end up there via a twist of fate, Walton on Hill?
I moved there.
And you ended up there for no reason you could think of, but it worked.
I moved there because obviously Jill's one of my girl group, and a couple of the girls already lived in the village. I was in Croydon, and I knew that I wanted to move from Croydon for obvious reasons. But it was more to do with my daughter finishing school, and she was the child of 2020. With the COVID thing, didn't do the GCSEs, and I didn't need to be on top of a station for her anymore. So I moved, but I had this. I think I said it in the last time we were here. When I first walked into the house that I ended up buying, it was like
You knew.
And that was my home, and I was stood by my to be patio doors, and I was just sobbing. I was just tears just wouldn't stop.
You as well.
Yeah.
I absolutely did.
So again, that was me listening to this because it was so intense. It's a lovely village.
Probably.
Possibly, yeah. Maybe it's pulled me back there. The ley lines are all amazing.
That feeling, don't you?
Yeah. Well, I've been in property for 30 years, so going into a house, I always know when if a house is right for someone because you can see it in the person's face. They're like it whacks them in the face. But I'd never experienced that. And I'd owned a number of properties, and then walked into that one. It was like, this is home.
I was exactly the same.
That's what we're waiting for when we move, Jane, isn't it?
What's the common?
I was quite heavily pregnant.
Oh, really?
And the lady that was selling the house was also heavily pregnant. And she had about 30 people, and I kept sort of like wanting to say to her, "It's me," because I'm, she sort of thought, "I'm going to sell it to you if you want it." And I said, "I know I want it. I just knew."
You do everything.
I was, not so sure. I just knew.
And then also if the whole process goes through really smoothly, which it did for my purchase and the sale of my other house, everything just happens so streamlined, and I just think,
you just know, you're going to be there. It's funny, isn't it?
That's what they talk about, getting the feeling, isn't it? That's it. So yes. Any questions, anybody?
I'll put you down.
Oh, yeah. We're off next then. Yeah, right on time.
Go back up.
Yeah. Right, I'll just introduce myself. So I'm Juliet Goodwin, and I'm a nutrition. I'm a few different things, as you'll discover today. I've got a few different hats. Sorry. Don't worry. There's lots to talk about. It's okay. So I'm a nutritionist. I'm also an EFT practitioner. In my old life, I was a nurse for many, many years. And then through my own health challenges, family health challenges, I became interested in other ways of supporting health, and I was interested in nutrition. I saw a nutritionist myself, and it was really, really game-changing, and I became just more and more motivated to find out about it and see. And I thought I knew about health working as a nurse in the NHS in conventional medicine. Then I saw a nutritionist and I thought, no, I don't. I need to really relearn this, and just it was a much more holistic approach. I think really, Western medicine has its place. It can be very helpful for many things, but what I found was it very compartmentalised the body, and so we're just sort of, you see lots of different specialists. Basically they see you as different organs, and I think that is sort of changing a bit now. But we are very much connected, not just physically, but as you're has come up today a few times with the mind-body connection. And something that has been, I think, quite overlooked in Western medicine is gut health. I mean, it's very much actually coming into the mainstream, as you're probably aware, because of in the media people are talking about things like the gut microbiome and the gut-brain connection. So I think it's becoming a more popular and common discussion. But gut health is super important. It really does keep our body in order. So what do you think of when you think of gut health? Does it bring anything to mind? What have you kind of heard about it, or might not have?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
They call it the second brain.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Second. Most diseases start in your gut, don't they?
Yeah. So basically, it is keeping the body in order, and what's going on in the gut very much impacts everything else. Our hormones, our skin. Our mood, our immunity, so it's very, very interconnected. And we're still very early on understanding about how the gut works and how it affects other parts of our body. So it's an ever-evolving area of interest. And definitely I think doctors are more on board with it and talking about things like probiotics, and there's obviously people like Tim Spector, so he's got obviously that his whole thing with the Zoe Project, and that's really amazing. That's brought it very much into the fore and into the mainstream. I would say there are some criticisms of it, but I don't need to get into that now in this short talk. But yeah, and for example, kind of selling these gut shots and things like that are very gimmicky, very unnecessary, very expensive. But you know, he has done some good in terms of the amount of education he's brought around health and gut health. So the digestive system doesn't just really involve our stomach and colon and, you know, all of this. It involves other organs, so things like the gallbladder, really, really important, often overlooked, especially as women come into the kind of menopausal years and older. Bile issues really, really increase because of that change in estrogen, and that's why women commonly, as they get older, are more prone to kind of getting gallstones and maybe needing their gallbladder removed. And the pancreas is really important in terms of enzymes and breaking things down, and obviously insulin, and liver for detoxification. So, and then you think on a more microscopic level about the microbiome. So that's the bacteria in your gut. Well, we're essentially made of bacteria. So there has been a big focus on the microbiome. It's so funny looking at that dog. There's been a big focus on the microbiome in the gut, and quite rightly so, but we're covered in a microbiome. So we now know that the oral microbiome is as important as the gut one. So what's going on in the mouth massively impacts kind of our heart, lots of other things. So yeah, in terms of what the gut is doing, we're absorbing nutrients, we're extracting nutrients from the gut, eliminating waste, and also breaking down food. And I've mentioned before about how it's all connected, so things like immunity. We know that 70% roughly of our immune system is housed in the gut. So if you haven't got kind of good gut health, then that impacts your immunity and your immune resilience. And hormone health, I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. Skin health, so whatever is going on in the skin is usually a reflection of what's going on in the gut. Energy production, mental health, and you were talking about the second brain, and there is an incredibly strong connection, which I'll talk about in a minute, but mood can be very much affected by the gut and vice versa. There's a two-way communication. It's fascinating. So you might have heard of the term leaky gut. I don't know if that's become a slightly more popular term in terms of, and what that basically means, it's to do with the lining of the gut can become more permeable. So it's less, the tight junctions, normally as kind of the words describe, are tight and nothing gets through. And so this is a barrier, the lining of our stomach and our gut. And so there are many things that can cause that to break down and to become more permeable, so things can travel out. And that can cause issues in terms of toxins coming into the bloodstream. That can create allergies and all sorts of issues. So things that can contribute to leaky gut are processed food, viruses. So some of these are unavoidable, and it's not about kind of becoming really stressed about this. It's about how can you support your gut even if these things happen. So of course we'll get viruses. You might get parasites through food. It doesn't even have to be from going anywhere exotic. It can be from undercooked meat. It can be from sushi. There are various ways. Caffeine, too much caffeine, alcohol, antibiotics, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. So that's things like ibuprofen, Voltarol. They can be quite harsh on the gut lining. Harmful bacteria, so sometimes if you get a stomach upset, or you just get what we call more pathogenic bacteria, and you haven't got that balance. So historically, even with nutritionists, what the approach was, right, let's nuke everything. So if you've got this pathogenic, this harmful bacteria, let's put some natural antibacterials, so herbal antimicrobials, to wipe out those. But basically that was disrupting the balance, and balance is really, really important. You think of an ecosystem. You don't want to kind of kill off too much in the same way that antibiotics do. That's not to say antibiotics are never needed, but there are lots of ways of reducing the harmful bits in the gut or in the body. And so that can be herbs, that can be many different things. But you need to get that balance right. And so now it's more about crowding out the harmful. So bringing in more of the good bacteria, bringing in more of the good things to eat. So we crowd out the more harmful. So sometimes it could be that you'll do a stool test, or you'll find out that you have got some more harmful bacteria in the gut, and you do need to address that. But if it's not too bad, then the best thing is to really crowd it out and just support that balance. So can you come up with or suggest ways that suggest that the gut isn't working that well?
Poor digestion.
Sorry?
Poor digestion.
Yeah.
Wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Irritable bowel. Yeah, those are good. So yeah, things like, I think someone said burping. So obviously small amounts of all these things, it's just normal. It depends on what we're eating, what's going on. But if it's kind of excessive or it's going on a long while, so if you're doing lots and lots of burping, it's a sign that maybe something isn't quite right. You mentioned heartburn, so that's reflux. So that's kind of the acid coming back up, which is becoming, it seems, an increasingly big problem. Seeing a lot more clients with these issues. And indigestion, cramp, abdominal pain, flatulence, sort of excessive amounts, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. So in short bursts, these things aren't an issue, and you just look at the diet, maybe look at what's going on in your life. But if it's an ongoing thing and it's becoming a sort of bigger issue, then you want to look at, well, what's happening with the gut? What do I need to, what's going on here? So I was mentioning about, no, I won't go to reflux yet. So an important thing to say that this doesn't have to be complicated. So digestion, effective digestion can happen, basically we can support it naturally. So digestion starts in the mind. It's when we start thinking about food. So in our modern, busy, modern life, and it's very busy, very stressful, most of us, including me, are just eating without really engaging. We're just sort of buying food, eating it, eating on the go, being distracted when we eat, being stressed when we eat. So we're missing out a few really important stages and phases that are required for our body to really effectively digest. And that causes a lot of the issues. So this is really quite avoidable. Not necessarily easy, but it's just about being consistent with making some of these changes, or just remembering to, if you're going to eat, just trying to sort of not be so distracted, try and get into the moment, think about the food, even if you're not cooking it, smell it, maybe take a few, I tell my clients to do this, just take a few deep breaths, because we want to just let our bodies know that we're safe. And we want to feel, we need to be in that what we call the rest and digest nervous system state. So the sympathetic nervous state, the parasympathetic nervous state, which is called rest and digest. And the reason being, we don't digest properly unless we're feeling more relaxed. And that's not, always going to be easy or perfect, because we're busy, we're on the go, etc. But as much as possible. And I think we've lost that whole thing of eating around a table, eating kind of in community collectively, and it's just about kind of remembering that ourselves, that we just need to slow down a bit, engage, think about the food, smell it, and then once we're eating, just chewing, really kind of just slowing things down when we're eating, chewing a bit more, so we're supporting that mechanical digestion. And then sort of when you're thinking about the food, you're encouraging the production of these enzymes, the stomach acids, so you're getting everything ready, and that's called the cephalic phase of digestion. So the more we support that, the less you're going to have issues with things like bloating and reflux, and all of these types of things. So just being aware of that, and it's just a small, simple thing, but hugely effective. So reflux. So that's a backflow of stomach contents, and there can be lots of reasons, and it can cause difficulty swallowing, chest pain, hoarseness, sore throat, burping. So people might not necessarily associate those symptoms with reflux, but that's actually to do, and it's not always stomach acid. Sometimes, remember I mentioned earlier about the gallbladder, sometimes it's bile acid, and quite often bile acid reflux is overlooked or missed by GPs, and it's not usually the same treatment. So a good way of knowing, if you're supporting stomach acid reflux and that's not improving, then you need to think about bile acid, and that is an increasing problem as we get older, and seems to be maybe slightly more with women because of that estrogen change. And also we tend to, as we get older, get higher cholesterol as women. It's all good news, isn't it? It's great. And that can make the bile thicker. So it's just being aware of these things and you know, the stuff we can do. So we think about what are trigger foods. So things like really acidic foods, alcohol, spices, tomatoes, caffeine, chocolate. So just, if you are prone to reflux, just keeping those things to a minimum, not eating really late, trying to have 2-3 hour gap between eating and going to bed is really helpful. Managing stress, supporting all the things I said earlier about more mindful eating, slowing down, breathing before you eat, getting in that rest and digest state. And then another issue, bloating. So that can have slightly different causes. So it can be a bacterial imbalance, maybe constipation, accumulation of gas, can be low activity levels, or very common in today's society, grazing all the time. So that's often what we're doing. We don't have kind of these, we do have set meals, but often because of the availability of food and things like working from home, and I think just the culture, it's become normal to graze. So we're never giving our stomach a rest from eating, and that's really important in terms of the repair, this migratory motor complex, MMC. So we need to have rest between meals. It's really important for it to work effectively and reduce bloating. And poor sleep as well can really affect digestion. So, yeah.
What do you think about fasting? Would you recommend that, or?
Oh, that's such a big topic. So fasting can mean many things, and obviously to different people, sort of, you know, different amount of hours. I say, so basically I think the best thing, particularly I think that works for middle-aged women and beyond, is fasting suits men better, and that's been proven, because they don't have cycles, they don't have, even if you've stopped your periods, there's just kind of less fluctuations with men, they're kind of more constant. So fasting tends to suit them better because there's less of a stress response, there's more of a stress response in women. But what I think is helpful is time restricted eating. So if you have your last meal maybe by 7, and then you go through to the next day, and then, you know, that whole thing of breakfast, it's break fast. So historically, naturally, that's what, you know, we would have done, and that helps repair and just reduce inflammation and help our immune system, all of it. So I would say just not eating late, and then maybe going through to kind of 9 the next morning, and then you have had a really good fast. And then try not to graze between meals. So I'm not a big fan of this. I know there's some kind of people, you know, in social media. What's she called? Something Peltz. She's an American woman. She's really popular. She's really pro fasting, and yes, it does have its benefits, and it's really important for kind of sort of cleansing the body, if you like. But we just kind of need to not overdo it. It just has to be more kind of in balance with us as women. But yes, it's really important to have breaks. And historically, you know, you think about how we would have eaten, you know, food would have been more scarce. And food is just overabundant now. And it's just difficult, kind of, we've just got into these habits which don't do our gut any good. Good question. So I talked about how to reduce bloating. So another thing actually that we were talking about is fibre. So fibre is incredibly important, but not everyone can tolerate a lot of fibre. So we were talking about kind of, you know, there's obviously certain diseases where fibre has to be kept low, but also it's about, if you don't have much fibre in your diet, don't just suddenly have loads, because you'll find that you're bloated, you're uncomfortable. So I always say to people, introduce it, but then build it up really slowly. So fibre is, I think there's quite an obsession now at the moment with people having enough protein, and protein is important, but fibre is always overlooked. It's just less sexy. It's all to do with kind of people thinking about bloating and fasting. But fibre is hugely important, hugely, and as important as protein, if not more. And going from that, actually, relevant is constipation. So I think most people at some point in their life suffer with constipation and diarrhoea. But a lot of people might not even know kind of what real constipation is. So the definition is, does anyone want to have a guess at what definition of constipation is?
You can't pass your stools.
Yeah, thinking about how often that would be. Have a guess.
Once a day. Probably once a day.
Twice a day.
What, less than once a day? What would be the definition of being constipated?
A week?
Nothing.
Would it be a week? Going for a week without passing?
That's right. Any other suggestions?
I'd say it's probably a day, isn't it?
I would say it's a day, isn't it?
So the
can be
NHS
a
official definition is less than 3 times per week.
Oh wow.
So ideally, everyone is very different. Ideally, you want to be going every day. You want to be kind of obviously eliminating those toxins and keeping everything regular, and it's really important. Some people just really, no matter what, can't manage that, but ideally you want to be going at least once a day. And there are many causes and reasons why people are constipated. It can literally be lack of water, dehydration, lack of fibre we've talked about. Most people, for example, might not have any fibre in their breakfast, so think about maybe having oats or fruit. What else? Even bringing in leaves and sort of spinach with egg for your breakfast. So that can be a meal that a lot of people miss having fibre. So just trying to get fibre into every meal. Food intolerances can cause constipation. Medication, so things like painkillers, iron tablets, particularly the NHS prescribed ones, can be absolutely horrific for constipation. So there are alternatives to that, but just finding ways to, if you're on those, to kind of how to mitigate that. IBS, IBD, an imbalance in gut bacteria, stress can cause constipation. Thyroid, so as women get older, there's an increasing amount of women that have an underactive thyroid, which is often missed on tests, or it's not considered. And it's really important to be aware that a lot of menopausal symptoms actually can be an underactive thyroid. So often they can get confused. So I always say to women who are kind of perimenopausal age to get your thyroid checked, because I find that is often missed.
Excuse me, you know you said that they can be missed on tests?
Yeah.
So you could go for thyroid tests and they don't show up? Is that what you mean?
Well, the thing with NHS tests, and it depends which area you live in, they only might test one marker, which is called TSH, and that's thyroid stimulating hormone. So that's telling you whether the pituitary and the thyroid are communicating. It doesn't tell you anything about the thyroid levels, about whether you're making enough active thyroid, the thyroxine, and it's not telling you, this is maybe not always necessary, whether you've got any thyroid antibodies, which can indicate a little bit of autoimmunity in the thyroid, which is often, if you've got an underactive thyroid, could be the case. It's called Hashimoto's. So that's a very, very common cause of thyroid being underactive. So it's only giving you a tiny bit of the picture, but it's something. But probably what I meant was that you wouldn't necessarily get any thyroid check. You might go along and your symptoms might be assumed to be menopause, or your hair's falling out. Right, let's check your iron, which it could be, but no one's thinking that much about thyroid.
Does that mean you have to go private then to get your thyroid?
Well, I mean, if they can agree to do a thyroid test, but again, that's only giving you part of the picture. So a lot of people kind of wouldn't take it further because they'd be told that's fine.
What do you ask for then? You know the other tests on your thyroid, what can you ask for?
So T4, T3, yeah, if you can get those, then that's better than just TSH. There are more things, but if you can ask for those. They won't, because you have to have a very, very abnormal TSH to trigger for those other ones to be
they do that first?
instigated. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So,
we'll all be going to the doctors tomorrow.
Oh no!
Well, that's my thyroid. Yeah, but there's so many causes of the symptoms of underactive thyroid. So, obviously, commonly tiredness, cold peripheries, constipation, low mood, hair falling out. But then lots of other things can cause that. Yeah, but lots of other things. So I think having a good kind of blood screen that's including a lot, so you're just getting as much information as possible, excluding and including things.
I've got an underactive thyroid. I think you know if you've got it.
Have
Really?
you?
Do you?
So did you take
I've had it 25 years, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you do know if you've got it.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I just thought, you're not going to be able to see this very well, so I'll pass it round. Has anyone ever seen this beautiful picture of a stool chart? Ex-nurse over there will know all about that. So ideally, you want to be sort of the type, my goodness, put my glasses, type 3 to 4 ideally. Do you want to pass that round just before you go lunch? Look at
shit happens.
Julia
What's
Ender.
that?
Julia Ender. It's all about that. It's just a whole book about that. It's
Oh, no, I've not read
fascinating.
it, but I've heard of it, there's another really good one, it'll come back to me. I'll say it at the end, I'll have a think. So, I mean, some of the things are going to be obvious about how to manage constipation. Obviously, hydrating. I would say most people aren't drinking enough water, me included. I'm pretty terrible at it. Increasing your water, fibre. Something that I tend to always recommend to clients, mainly I see women, is ground flaxseed. So it's brilliant. I totally depend on it. It's brilliant because it's an omega-3, anti-inflammatory, omega-3 fatty acid. It's great fibre and it's great for kind of keeping things regular.
And do you put that on your cereal? Or
You can put it in yogurt,
anything? Oh, in yogurt.
porridge.
Okay.
You could even add it to salads or put it in
Yeah.
smoothies.
How many spoons?
If you're constipated, 2 heat tablespoons.
2 heat
Yes.
Oh, I'm not constipated.
Okay.
What's your everyday?
I think it's better if they're ground. No, I think they're just more gritty in the gut. So, for example, someone that had an issue with fibre, if they had Crohn's, they wouldn't have that. The kind of more ground. Yeah, the full. You have. So I think it's better tolerated if it's ground.
Yeah.
So I tend to say Linwood's. Have you heard of the brand Linwood's? So they're a good one. I tend to buy them.
I need to write this
You
down.
can get them.
Yeah.
I'll write it down.
Yeah.
Apple fibre, so that's really good. Apples, and also they contain something called pectin, which is lovely for gut healing. So apples are just such a healer, and you know that whole thing of an apple a day. But it's true because there's so many benefits of apples. And kiwis are amazing. Keeping you regular, and they're really super high in vitamin C, which people don't realise. So it depends whether you're keen on kiwis. And some people eat it with the skin on. It's meant to be very good for you. I don't, but
I scoop too.
yeah, it's really, really good for you unless you're allergic. They are one of the kind of common allergy ones.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's your views on organic?
Oh, yeah.
Is it because obviously there's lots of
Certain
toxins
things.
and pesticides and things?
Yeah, well, it's obviously really expensive. So actually, that's reminding me another point that Debbie brought up earlier about seasonal. And seasonal is also really important in terms of what we choose to eat. So historically, we would have eaten what was being grown, or that we've managed to kind of jar up and harvest and I can't remember the word, not pickle, but ferment and then save. And so the thing with organic, if you're kind of wanting to eat strawberries in January, then obviously they're going to be flown from really far away.
Yeah.
And there is another point to eating seasonally. So in winter, it's better to eat things like stews and soups and things that are really well cooked and really nourishing because we have less energy. And so we want to be working in tune with our body and have foods that are really well cooked, and the root vegetables, things that are really kind of nourishing and warming foods rather than salads. So, but in terms of organic, there's something called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So there's, if you look at the Pesticide Network Association, they have a list of foods. So not everybody can afford to eat everything organic. So firstly, if you're eating in season, it tends to be less sort of chemical laden, sort of containing. So try to eat the foods that are in season for that time. If you look at this list, it means that there are some foods that have less pesticides, less toxins on them, and you don't necessarily have to get them as organic. So there are some things that always tend to be really high in pesticides, things like spinach, raspberries, apples, unless you're kind of picking them off local trees. But this is quite a helpful list to look at. And then
Pesticides Network
Association, I think it's PMA, pesticides.
I'll put it on the WhatsApp
Yeah,
group.
I'll get the link and I'll share it with Debbie.
I'll put lots of stuff on there from today. So I'll get from the ladies.
I'm just, have I got enough time? I'm just giving you loads of information here. Yes, so that's in terms of organic. If you can, great. But there's lots of ways around it, and it's just there are things that certain foods will always have more and some that will have less.
Thank you.
And trying to eat in season. Yeah.
The guy that I was going to have trips to, who's recovered from cancer by fasting, diet, all sorts of things, and he talks about his organic food diet. And he says he gets a bit frustrated sometimes when people say they can't afford it, which I don't dispute. But what his point was, just briefly, is you could buy one organic apple and it would be nutrient dense, say for 80p.
Yeah.
You could go to Tesco's and buy a bag of 6 apples for maybe 40p more, and you think, oh great, I'm getting 6 more apples. But he said, there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
So you're better off having less. Like you pointed, look, there's so much food out there. We eat far more than we need to eat.
Yeah.
We need to be more, like you said, looking into the seasons, looking into the nutrient-dense foods at the right time. And then that was just one thing.
More thoughtful about
more
it.
thoughtful,
Yeah.
and just think about having something that's good, good quality, that's going to benefit you more.
Yeah, definitely.
Than
I suppose
spending.
it's thinking about your body as being like if you thought of it being like a supercar or whatever, you're not going to put rubbish petrol in it, are you?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the taste, you can taste the
can
difference
taste
as
the
well, I think. A carrot
Yeah.
tastes like a carrot.
Yeah.
Organic.
Yeah, and when you grow your own, if you happen to grow your own
Yeah.
tomatoes in summer and then you pick them from the garden, I mean,
Yeah.
beautiful, and
Yeah.
strawberries. And you're so right, the amount of nutrients in the soil now is almost negligible compared to 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's why there is an argument for, yes, we probably do need a supplement. And I always say food first, we shouldn't be like relying on supplements, but it's really hard to meet that nutrient requirement. It's agreeing with me. The nutrient requirement, if
You eat poo, you do.
yeah.
There's so many
It's from the soil that we
supplements
have now.
You know the supplement thing?
Yeah.
There are so many, I rattle around, I do, because I think, I'll try those, and then I try another one. It's really difficult to know how many you should have, because if you read the latest article about what's the latest thing you should be having,
Yeah.
like it's magnesium, isn't it?
Yes,
Sleep,
yeah.
vitamin B, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
It's like a one little tablet doesn't have enough strength in it.
So there are different qualities out there. Obviously, if you buy something from Boots, it's probably not going to be as good as a better brand.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And it's personalised, so different people need different things. Vitamin D, I think, is a non-negotiable. Everybody needs vitamin D. But again, I'd say to people, don't guess, try and test. You can get really cheap tests that you can have sent to your home, and you just put a few sort of specks of blood onto the paper and then send it back. And I can give you links to a couple of companies, and that's not expensive. So vitamin D, non-negotiables, particularly between October and March.
Yeah.
And the NHS say that, but they say quite a low amount, which I think wouldn't touch the sides. But I'm not going to stand here and say you need to take a certain amount, because I don't know what your baseline is. So I don't know what your therapeutic amount is that you need.
Sure.
And some people have taken toxic levels, so it can be harmful. They've taken a lot though. Magnesium, I think, is brilliant for everybody, because when we're stressed, our adrenal glands eat up the magnesium, the cortisol, and the requirements for magnesium are really high. There's different types of magnesium, so actually relevant to constipation. Magnesium citrate is really good for constipation, so there's different forms that help different things. Magnesium glycinate is good for sleep and relaxation. So I think magnesium tends to be a very safe one to take. Vitamin D is very important. There are some good multis out there. Nutri-Advanced do good multi, they're called multi-essentials, so they're not that expensive, but they have really good levels of nutrients. But obviously I have to be careful what I say, because I don't know individually what each person here is taking medication-wise. I don't have a history of your kind of, So I'm just giving quite general. But it's a good point. People are a bit kind of unsure, and we've got a lot of information that's being thrown at us. I'm conscious. I'm gone slightly over.
It's all right, but we're going into lunch now, so it's fine.
So do you want some questions?
Yes.
I just wanted to say my neighbour's 95.
Yeah.
She used to be a dancer, and she's been taking 10 vitamins a day for the last 30 years.
Which ones?
I was saying, I'm for every time.
Dancing's
good.
good.
She said, no, you don't. You want to take 10 vitamins a day, and you'll be
Wow.
off. She's
Ballet
95.
dancer.
I don't know, but obviously all the relevant ones that you
Still dancing.
Yeah.
But dancing's so good for you, for mental health. It makes you happy, and for mental health, dancing. Maybe we should start a dance club.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She still goes to Pilates every week.
She needs to come and do a talk.
We
regular nutritionists.
Yeah, we need to invite her for a talk.
I've got great dance teacher.
Have you, there we go, dance class next, ladies.
Health
Yeah.
Bells, she's called.
Can I ask about
She dances on
spirulina?
theatre.
Spirulina,
Yeah, and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Like chlorella and everything.
Yeah, chlorella. Is
So
that a
yeah,
good thing or
people
not?
kind of actually doesn't suit everybody. So that can depend genetically on things like your SNPs. But for example, I can't have spirulina or chlorella. It makes me feel really odd. So that's quite an individual thing. But for some people, it can suit. It's kind of it does bind with toxins in the body. So I wouldn't sort of necessarily I wouldn't kind of promote it that much. Yeah.
One less to take.
Yeah. No, I think just keep it simple. So things like people think, oh, I need to buy expensive probiotics, but you know, you can have like basically yogurt with live strains. You can have kefir. You can make your own. That's a way of getting probiotics. But what's really overlooked is prebiotics, which is that what you want to talk about? Oh, there you go.
I keep seeing things about like everyone's being good taking probiotics, but without the prebiotics, you're not preparing your gut for the probiotics. Don't know if that's the science behind it.
Yeah,
and then
that's
I keep
right.
seeing this thing of like a triple biotic.
Yeah.
Where there's like a third one, but it's all in one.
Yeah.
What do you think of those?
Well, I just think people are making money because I think if you kind of eat well, and so prebiotic foods are basically the fibre foods. So I've got a list here of ones that are very good prebiotic foods, and it might be some people can't eat a lot of these because they already have a gut issue, and that's why they're told to go low FODMAP. You might have heard of going low FODMAP. So these are kind of high FODMAP foods because they are prebiotics. So garlic, onion, artichoke, that's not for everybody, I appreciate, leeks, asparagus, oats, mushrooms, apples, chickpeas, melon, bananas. So those are all prebiotic foods, and they will help you create the probiotics. So you can go in and buy these things, but then as soon as you stop taking them, then you know it's kind of then you're not getting the benefit of them. So ideally, if you can try and have a balanced diet and get the
food instead.
Yeah.
Ideally, yeah. I mean, there is something called PHGG, which is great for gut health, and that's basically a prebiotic. And I might bring that in if someone needs specific gut repair. They've been taking loads of medicine, loads of antibiotics. They need both the prebiotic and the probiotics. They're important to have together, but you can do it through food. And actually, there's I think quite a bit of evidence to show that it's more effective. That kind of having kefir and the yogurt with the strains is as good as having these expensive probiotics.
Good to know.
One of the things that we're thinking about doing is doing not only first aid in the kitchen, but going through all what we should be doing seasonally.
Yeah.
Having in our store cupboard, you know, which will link into some of the things that you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, the kefir, the apple cider, not the apple, the fire cider, the rose hip. You know, having it all as part of your diet.
Your kitchen toolkit.
Well, that's basically
health kit. Yeah.
But that's it, because there's so much that we've
Yeah.
got in our kitchen that we can make so much use of, or introduce as well.
Yeah.
So it's
And historically, you know, when you would harvest the food and you would jar it up, and then kind of the benefits from that, because that's creating bacteria.
It's a business in the making, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kitchen
Yeah.
edit.
Yes.
Store
Yes.
edit.
Some nutritionists do that. I should probably offer it actually. Right. I think I've gone over.
better go and check
lunch. Happy to answer any questions.
What about fascinating?
Just for those of you in the room who weren't here for the gut health. So I'm originally a nurse, then a nutritionist, and then I've added in EFT tapping in recent years to what I'm doing, because I believe really passionately about the mind-body connection, and that we can't heal unless we're addressing all aspects. We recognise the importance of our emotions and our nervous system in terms of what's going on physically. So I was supporting clients with their nutrition, and then a lot of them either had a lot of stress going on, which was either exacerbating their problem or it was causing it. And so and I came across EFT, and I found it was really helpful for me, and then I trained to become a practitioner, and now I've done the advanced training, and I think it's a lovely tool. I don't know how many people have heard of it. Has anyone heard of EFT tapping? I think it's becoming a bit more mainstream. I'll explain it, so don't worry.
What's it stand for?
Emotional freedom technique.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's that's all right, because most people know it as tapping.
They do. I know it as tapping.
Yeah, they
but
don't.
it's actually technique. Okay.
Yeah, emotional freedom although there's more than one, so some people say techniques.
Yes.
But it is more commonly known as tapping because you're literally tapping on. Well, we have energy meridians in our body, which you might be aware of because of things like acupuncture. So it's tapping on these acupressure points, which are mainly in the upper body, face and head. Tapping on them, and because they communicate with the amygdala, which is our fight, flight, stress response in our brain. So as we're tapping, there's this communication with this part of our brain, and it completely neutralises it, and you become really, really calm. And then you focus on whatever the issue, the feeling, the emotion, or it could be a memory. So you're focusing on something negative and bringing acknowledgement to that, and then because you're enabling your mind and body to feel safe by doing the tapping, working with these meridians, the acupressure points, it feels safe to acknowledge them and then release. We're always holding on to emotion to some extent, and so I'm not going to do anything really heavy here because EFT is quite powerful. It can look and sound simple, but actually it can be very powerful in terms of releasing and bringing up things. So I'm really mindful of that, and I'm just going to keep it quite global, quite general. We're not going into deep stuff today. And it works in different ways because you can work with a practitioner like me, and that's going on a deeper level, addressing core beliefs, things that basically our programming is all about we've developed these beliefs and stories that aren't necessarily ours. They could be, usually they're from parents or from other people from our childhood, and we've developed these stories and beliefs. So when we go sort of work therapeutically one-to-one, we could be addressing those core beliefs, or we could just really be addressing some very deep-seated anxiety that's just difficult to resolve from just doing, for example, tapping on your own. So there is tapping is also brilliant because you can use it as a self-help tool. So you can be shown how to do it, and then you can do it for yourself to help, just a few minutes each day, or when you feel like emotions are rising, whether it's stress, anger, any emotion, and it's something that you're struggling with. If you start doing the tapping, then you start to calm the nervous system. You can just let your body know you're safe, and you're acknowledging, even though I feel like this, I accept myself. And this is a common phrase that we use when we're doing the tapping, but I'll explain it properly when we start. So yes, it can be used as a self-help tool, and that's the really great thing about it. And it's really forgiving, so it's not like you need to go away and remember every single point and have a perfect script of what you're saying. Just if you can remember one point and you're tapping on that, and just one phrase or two phrases I can give you, and that's something you can do every day because most of the time we are running on high alert, and it's almost become a default. And they say that stress can actually be quite addictive, and so we tend to it tends to be quite appealing to for that default. And so it's about, when we're doing this, we're kind of breaking that loop, that circuit, and just most of the time, not most of the time, but a lot of the time, a lot of people don't feel safe in their body, and they're very much in their mind. It can be very busy. There's a lot of thoughts which can be very critical, they might not be true, they're very unhelpful, but it's about showing compassion, accepting that they're there, and then allowing yourself to feel relaxed and able to release this. And it sounds like a very small, simple thing, but actually I think it's the most powerful thing for us to feel safe in our bodies, to be able to just soothe in the moment. It's great for anyone of any age. It's great for children. It gives them agency to be able to do this for themselves, and because often maybe they feel that they're powerless or they can't articulate, and if they're able to just do a little bit of tapping for themselves, it's incredible. And I've worked with children who've then gone on to show their siblings when they see that they're stressed or struggling emotionally. So it's a lovely thing just to empower them and give them agency. So it comes under a group of therapies called energy psychology. Under that would also be something called EMDR, which is maybe a bit more well known, and that's available in the NHS. Hopefully EFT is going to be brought in more in the NHS, And it's, as I've said, it's a mixture of kind of using those energy meridians. That's Chinese medicine. So there's some cognitive aspects because we're using words and focusing on an issue or an emotion. And also neuroplasticity. Actually, maybe I should get the dog as a demo. And neuroplasticity, because actually we're bringing, I love this phrase, I can't remember where I heard it, bringing empathy to neural pathways, and that enables a shift in mindset, a shift in beliefs. But obviously we need to be in that calm state. So there is obviously a place for talking therapies, but what I love about EFT is, so sometimes talking therapies isn't addressing the nervous system, so you can be bringing things up and it can be quite triggering, it can be re-traumatizing, because you're not dealing with what you're holding on to in the body and the nervous system. So that's why I love EFT, because we are addressing that. And so it feels safe if things do come up, and it's not overwhelming, and you shouldn't leave a session feeling worse. You should feel, hopefully, not guaranteed, but usually feel lighter and more hopeful, and not completely drained or re-triggered. So I will go through any questions. Sorry, I'm talking really fast. Is everyone all right? No. Yeah, okay. I will go through what the points are, and then you don't need to remember anything. You're just going to literally mirror what I'm doing and then copy what I'm going to say. And I'll take you through it. Just remain open-minded if you've never done it before. It's not that weird. There's a lot of evidence behind it.
We love weird.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be good unless it was weird, would it really?
I like a bit of weird.
Whatever that means.
Much interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting, and I hope it does get more accepted in the mainstream because it really helps people.
Yeah.
Yes, so I talked about, and you probably heard, maybe you've heard about the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Yes. It's very well known now, isn't it? And it's really that principle, our body is holding, we can talk about things, we can rationalise them, use our prefrontal cortex to try and, to just do all the talking and be rational. But our body is telling us something different. Our body is keeping the score and holding on to it. And that can manifest in many ways. It could be you're not sleeping well. It could be you get disease. The body's out of balance. So it can be in many different ways that this blocked emotion is manifesting. But the good thing is there is something you can do. And it's about showing self-compassion, because I don't know, especially as women, I think we're not very good at doing that and beating ourselves up. And yeah. Okay. So yeah, I talked about we focus on the negative first, and then we're just bringing safety to the body, and we're trying to release. I'm not going to do anything heavy. So what I might do is, how many people were here last time? Because you might remember I did the constricted. Oh, not that many. No, okay, that's all right. So I might do a constricted breathing one, so you get a sense of, you take a deep breath in and then you measure it, and then we do the tapping, and then you see kind of how different it is, just to give you a little idea. And then I think if there's enough time, I'll just do one about, which can be quite nice, where you're holding tension. We're all holding some tension usually in our body, and it's about tapping into that, literally kind of leaning into what that is. So hopefully there's enough time I can do that. Any questions? Shut up. Whistle, stop, whistle. You can do tapping on pets as well.
She does love tapping. She loves it. Top of her head tapping. Do you not know that? Oh, she's liking that.
My work is done. So this is the thing. This is just reminding. Yeah, well, they have energy meridians as well as us. So, of course they do. So, and this is a really lovely thing. This is a really lovely thing as well, just reminded me that there is a benefit to doing EFT in a group. You get something called borrowed benefits. So even if we're not all having the same experience, we are having the borrowed benefits of each other, of down-regulating our nervous system. It's moving energy. and it's about calming in a group, and that's lovely. So so sometimes when I'm in a group, the words might not be pertinent to each person. So, you know, we could be talking about where you have tension in your body, and then I'm sort of mentioning a bit of the body, and I'm thinking, well, I don't have it there. It doesn't matter, just keep going. But I'll try and include everyone's. You're right. Okay. I've never had an animal model in my talk. I should have had it filmed, shouldn't I?
Oh, she's so happy.
It's also because she's talking.
Okay.
So the dog wants to be the focus as well.
Money and the kids.
Okay, so I'll just quickly show you where the. I'll show it with my left hand because I'm tapping here. Okay. I'll show you where the points are. No, actually, sorry, dog, I will need my hand. So, first of all, we start off with the karate chop. So if you have I'm right-handed. It doesn't matter which side you do. EFT is quite forgiving, and we're just tapping. You're right there. Yeah. Can you do your pause?
Do you have to do it?
She's looking at pause. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so reasonably firmly, but not too hard. Okay. And then, so very doggy. And then we'll go to the next point, which is the beginning. Now, you can do tapping on both sides symmetrically. I wouldn't suggest doing that because then it's hard for you to see what I'm doing. So let's just stick to one side. So, the beginning of the eyebrow, 2 fingers. Yeah? That's it, the beginning of one eyebrow. And then stay on that side. We're going to go beneath the outer eye. And then come in to underneath the inner eye. You alright? Just stick to the same side. It doesn't matter which one it is. And then underneath the nose. Centre of the chin. Sometimes people comment they quite like one particular point they're tapping on, and that will resonate with you. Different ones resonate with different people. Right, I need to do extra tapping now to bring my cortisol. Right, now feel where your collarbones are. Now, we're not going to get on the collarbone. We're going to be just beneath it. And use both hands, so we're getting the symmetrical, the double effect here.
The Amazon man coming in going.
What's going on in there?
Yeah.
Some people really like this one because this is called K27, I think, and it's connected to the adrenals. So this is, if you're going to do one, I think this is a good one. Some people might disagree. It's really calming. It's really calming, and it's tapping on nerve clusters as well as the meridian points. I forgot to say that. But tapping here is super calming.
Imagine I've got an umbrella.
Yeah.
I've got it like this. Tell them what.
So is that the adrenals then that here?
From the
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite nice to say this. That's
Just do that for a few seconds and just, you know, you'll start to feel a little bit calmer. And just slow, deep breaths. Okay, now we're going to go underneath the arm. So because I'm right-handed, I'm going underneath my left arm, roughly where the bra line is. Oh, you're having a go now, are you?
Can you do this?
Can't have your space back. Busy.
They'll be really curious about what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay. I do have heads join when people are online, and then on top of the head.
That one used to do like that.
Right, okay. There are finger points. I'm not going to show you just now, but if there's time at the end, the reason I would quite like to show you is because that's what you can use when you're in public, or you can have your hands underneath the table. You could be somewhere where you just feel very stressed. You don't want to be super obvious about doing all of this. So I can, yeah. Although I don't particularly like flying, tapping's helped me a lot with my fear of flying. So sometimes I will just sit like that on the plane. Just kind of do my breathing and say in my head what I need to say. But also there's ones on their fingers. But I'll show you at the end. It's just handy to know that one. Okay, and that's really simple. So how much? Oh, I haven't got that much time, have I? Okay, so I think we'll go right in. Forget the constricted breathing, we'll just go right in. With the Can you think where in your body right now you are feeling tension, or where you, if you don't feel it right now, where you usually might feel tension? And just tell me if you're happy to. Shoulders, neck, throat,
lower back.
And throat as well.
Okay, throat.
And chest at the moment.
Has anyone said shoulders? Yeah, shoulders is the common one.
My
Anyone
head.
else? Now, if you, and head. Okay, it's a tightness there. Okay, so if you were to give this a rating out of 10, 10 being the absolutely, and hopefully no one is a 10, absolutely unbearable level of tension in your body and discomfort, what would this rate as? Or when it's quite bad, or however it is today?
5, 6.
Okay. And then, this might not be possible because not everyone thinks in this way, but does a colour come to mind when you think about this tension in your shoulders, your chest?
Red, red,
White.
Red, white. Don't worry,
I
the
can
colour.
say blue.
Yellow, blue. Okay. Just remember your colours. Remember your numbers, because I can't remember what. Remember your number and your colour, and just where it is in your body. Try and lean, just like feel into where that tension is. Just close your eyes for a couple of seconds and think about that tension in your body. Just take a deep breath in. And out.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. You ready? Sorry, I didn't let you really have a proper exhale. Time pressure. Okay. If you start tapping, it might seem weird, but just copy what I'm saying and copy what I'm doing, okay? Even though I have this tension in my body, I choose to accept myself. Anyway. Even though maybe I've got all these emotions right now. I acknowledge them with kindness. Even though I have all this tension, I honour how I feel. Go to the next one. All this tension. Tension in my shoulders. My chest feels tight. My neck. My back. My throat. My head. I notice this tension. And often my thoughts feel busy. And it can be hard to slow down. It can be hard to let go. Feeling all this tension. This stress. I'm carrying this tension. This tension that's red. White. Blue. Yellow. What's this trying to tell me? There might be some heaviness. All this tension. My body's been carrying this stress. This load. And it can be heavy. But I'm ready
I'm ready
to let go of this.
to let go of this.
I'm open
I'm open
to releasing
to releasing
some of this heaviness,
some of this heaviness,
some of this tension.
some of this tension.
It's no longer serving me.
It's no longer serving me.
It's okay to pause.
It's okay to pause.
It's safe to take one breath at a time.
It's safe to take one breath at a time.
I'm here,
I'm here,
and that's enough.
and that's enough.
All this tension.
All this tension.
It's there most of the time.
It's there most of the time.
Maybe it's safe to soften a little.
Maybe it's safe to soften a little.
Let go of some of this stress.
Let go of some of the stress.
This worry.
This worry.
This mental load.
This mental load.
I give myself permission.
I give myself permission
to release some of this stress.
to release some of this stress.
I allow my shoulders to soften.
I allow my shoulders to soften.
It's safe to slow down.
It's safe to slow down.
It's safe to be present
It's safe to be present
with myself. I'm allowed to feel calm.
I'm allowed to feel calm.
It's safe to let my shoulders drop
Safe to let my shoulders drop.
and take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
Relax my muscles
Relax my muscles
in all parts of my body.
in all parts of my body.
I'm giving myself permission
I'm giving myself permission
to release this tension,
to release this tension,
to let go.
to let go.
Maybe I can allow just a little more space.
Maybe I can allow just a little more space.
I choose to let go. I choose calm.
Choose calm.
Choose calm. I choose softness.
Choose softness.
No. I wasn't sure. I choose to be gentle with myself.
Choose to be gentle with myself.
I'm doing the best I can. My breath is enough.
My breath is enough.
My body is wise.
My body is wise.
I offer myself compassion.
I offer myself compassion.
I'm allowed to rest.
I'm allowed to rest.
I've released so much tension.
So much tension.
I'm open to releasing.
I'm open to releasing.
More stress.
More stress.
More tension.
More tension.
I'm letting go.
Letting go.
I trust that I can return to calm.
I trust that I can return to calm
when I need to.
when I need to.
Okay, just take a really deep just sit for a second. Feel calmer. Yeah. That was a very, very tiny taster. Yeah, no, you're okay. A really tiny taster. But sorry, Debbie, you
you know, medical tantrum.
Thank you.
It's harder and harder.
It is helpful, and that was so short.
Yeah.
I feel it resonating in my entire body now.
Our bodies are listening, and it's just this is really connecting and coming back into our body and just.
Oh, I feel so
vibration. Yeah. I think it's a combination of it being on the acupressure points, the vibration. Yeah, very much so. And then using the words at the same time. If you were really overwhelmed, or if the child was really overwhelmed having a panic attack, you can just do the tapping. You don't have to worry about words. Just breathe and tap. And then and you can tap on someone else. So for example, so if someone else, for whatever reason, like my son was having a panic attack a couple of years ago, really bad, and I did it on him, and he just was completely relaxed.
How wonderful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he wouldn't let me now, but he did at the time. He's a bit older.
How old is he now?
He's 16.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know who this is. Yeah, that's lovely.
Oh, that's
it's
amazing.
lovely.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And just like Debbie's not here. This is if you're you want to be more discreet, just on the side.
On the thumb.
So when you're flying,
go round to all the so higher up. So you're just kind of on the edge of where the nail is on the side. So the kind of the thumb side, the inner side, body side. Go to the next one. Can you see? And it's just, you would say, even though I'm feeling all of this fear,
Even though I'm feeling all of this fear,
I accept myself anyway.
I accept myself anyway.
Even though I'm feeling all of this stress,
Even though I'm feeling all of this stress,
I'm open to believing I'm safe.
open to believing I'm safe.
Even though I've got all of this stress, or all of this sadness. I trust it will pass.
I trust it will pass.
So saying things like that, and that's you just keep going, and you're on those points. They might not, and there is actually one that's quite good for grief. So on the side here is good for grief. Okay.
I used it. I was going to do a TEDx talk, and I hate public speaking.
Okay.
So I use that before. It's so good.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've done it.
What did you do? Just tapping.
Tapping. I think it was the script was, even though I'm really nervous, I love and accept myself on all the tapping points.
Does it matter what you say on which bit, or does that so that you can say what you like?
Say what you like.
Relate to it.
Yeah, and if you feel overwhelmed, don't worry about words. Just do the tapping. But generally, you're saying, even though I feel this, I accept myself, or I love and accept myself. Some people don't want to say I love myself, but you can say I love and accept. And what's even more powerful if you say I love, accept, and forgive myself.
I'm definitely going to do it when I get on a plane, because I hate flying, so I'm not brave. I get really.
It's brilliant. It's really, really helped me. I've pretty much overcome my fear. I pretty much overcome my fear.
In number 4.
I'll be thrown off.
No. I think a lot of people who work in the flight business know about EFT, and just I think it's it's quick
good.
and powerful. It's good. But I've helped people who are just about to go on and do big talks and presentations. So
And it helps with panic attacks, because my daughter has panic attacks. I might teach her actually.
Because you're doing something in the moment. You're not using. You can't think about things, because basically when you're in a moment of fear or extreme fear, there's no rational thinking. So forget the prefrontal cortex, which is all to do with cognition and thinking. You're bypassing that, and you're going straight to the amygdala and bringing yourself back into calm without using words. So,
keeping you in the here and
it's
now.
good.
Really good.
I love it. I think it's so helpful.
So ladies, I just wanted to just mention a few things. I've just read this amazing book that was given to me. It's called Courageous Dreaming. And I think we've forgotten how to dream courageously. I think we've alluded to it.
Maisie.
Have you got something to say?
Come.
Maisie? And I think we've forgotten how to do it, and that we can do it. And there's so much within us, which I alluded to at the beginning, and a few of the ladies have mentioned as well. And we hold lots of emotions, and there's lots of imposter syndrome, and there's fear and what have you. And I think we acknowledge it and we feel it, and then we tell it to bugger off, basically. It's obviously not that simple, and it honestly it's written by the Shaman, so it's a really, really good book, and I highly recommend it if anybody wants to read it. And it's taught me a hell of a lot, and it's reminded me that I can do the things that I want to do. And sometimes it doesn't even come about how you expect it to. It's basically opening up to all the possibilities in the universe and here, knowing they are available to us. I mean, I talk to the children all the time and saying, look, your angels are in heaven, or whatever word you want to use, and they're filing their nails and they're getting really bored, because you have free will. So they can't act upon anything that you want in your world, because you have to ask for it, because that's your free will. If like they parking. Do it first, we have the car parking fairy. I always get a car parking fairy because I ask for a car parking fairy. And it's and I do say that to the kids, and it links in to me in reference to doing things like manifestation and visualization. And we also talked about the neuropeptides on our cells, because what we feed our mind with knowledge. Like, it's like watching the news. You watch 2 different pieces of news and it'll give you a completely different perspective of actual reality. Okay, so whatever we feed our mind will create our reality. And we've got neuropeptides, and they all on our cells, and they all talk to each other. So the brain doesn't know what's true and what's not true. So tell it what you want. It's that simple. It really is.
I love that.
But it is, in essence, because
it's so simple. But yeah,
it's so simple. But I have been so. I'll give you an example. I go to bed at night time now, and I visualise certain things. So I've wanted a space to do my grief work, and I've been to see a few psychic mediums, and Matt always comes through, and he always talks about the medicine garden. Now, we did a big up until COVID, massive fundraiser for cardiac risk in the young. We had like 500 people there, and we're doing it again this year, because I've been
explaining to Robin what the medicine garden is, because she's not local.
Oh well, It's just a beautiful place in Cobham, and it's just a space that it's a walled garden, and it's being repurposed at the moment.
It was closed down for a while,
and it's reopened and repurposed.
Isn't it?
And they've got a few buildings at the back. So because it's been given to me by Matt 3 times now, I only want to work there to do my grief stuff. It's the connection I've got with him, and so I have for a year now, probably more without even realising it, just pictured myself doing things there, and now I'm down there doing it. Yes, Frankie.
Can I add something?
You may.
To that lovely journey, but I think it also comes with that you visualise it when you go to bed, but it also comes in line with you also. If you want something in life, you have to also speak it into existence. So sometimes actually saying it out loud,
absolutely,
I find can be a bit more powerful as well.
Yeah.
And then also doing the actions and the work the next day, getting in contact with whoever that new owner was. Then lit the fire.
Visualising. I've been visualising, Amanda, to do my. So you have to be involved. No, Frank is absolutely right, and I was going to move on to that, but it's a really good point to make, because you can't just visualise it and then sit back and do nothing. You have to be active in it. Like I have to ring Sam and say, how's everything going at the Meadows Garden? Do you think you could be opening that this year? I'd really love to come and have a chat with you, the sorts of things I'm trying to do.
You pre-manifested that she's going to go, yes, we're opening, come down.
Well, when I went to see her and I was opening up, she's actually using it at the weekends for big events. Because that's you can't make money in that sort of place. It costs a fortune on people going down for a piece of cake and a cup of tea. You just can't. So she would lose it. So she's going very high end at the weekends, but she's a beautiful soul. And when she was telling me this, I was thinking, oh yeah, well, how do I fit into that then? And anyway, she looked at me and she says, but this is where you come in. She says, I've got some beautiful buildings at the back. I want to do giving back. So you've got midweek, Tuesday, Wednesdays, to use it for whatever you want. And I said, is this a gift? And she went, yes.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, it's just beautiful, isn't it?
She is incredibly generous, though, isn't she?
She's very generous.
She's got the most beautiful house.
Yeah.
And one of my friends was starting up a new business doing facial. And she'd known her for a long time. And she said to her, well, until you get yourself going, you're welcome to just use my old office or whatever it was at the top of the house. So happy for her to bring strangers into her house.
Yeah, she's very generous.
This room while she gets her business up and running.
That's
really
that
nice.
type of good to people though, like it might then work around that then in the work that I'm in with Demented, for example, loads of big brands, people doing things. That might then like link to like me being like, oh, you should use the medicine garden as your place, and sending clients then back on. Like the world works. If you're good to people, that continues. It becomes a ripple effect. Yeah, like pay. Like if you're constantly paying it forward, there's never going to be a negative.
And also the thing is, you need to be mindful of. I think is that you, if you put it out there as a request of what you want your life to look at. Look, it doesn't always necessarily. I mean, on this occasion, it has been amazing specifically, but sometimes you don't get what you want. You get what you need, and you have to be open. It's a bit like when you want this to happen in your life, and there's resistance, and you're fighting and fighting and fighting for it, and then the door's just not going to open for you, so it's closed. But then so you think, okay, I didn't get that job or whatever it might be, and then another door opens. And then down the line, you will realise that actually what you wanted here, you've got it there, and actually it's probably better than what you envisaged it to be in the first place. But it involves a lot of patience. It involves complete belief, because it's the placebo effect, isn't it? And what upsets me a lot is I hear so many young people now saying, oh, I'm stuck in my job and I hate my job. But I also am starting to see a lot of young people making changes, because I hate the fact that we allow society to define what we're going to do with this one life. Now obviously there are certain things that we can't change at the moment, but if we believe it can be changed, and then if more of us believe it, you talked about the energy of us all doing EFT. You spread that energy, you spread that positivity, and then more people start to believe it. And it's a bit like the film Ants. Like was one ant stood up and said, "Enough's enough." And I had this lovely vision actually just then. It's about like, so you've got all these ants there, you've got the one ant that says, "No, not happy with this, we're going to make some changes, we're going to live differently," and the ant's yellow. And then he just starts walking down past everybody, and then you can just see this yellow colour just spreading to everybody, and it works energetically, doesn't it?
The heart field.
It's the heart field. It really is. And it upsets me that people have lost the belief in themselves. They've given so much of their power away for other people. It happens, doesn't it, every day when someone reacts to us in a certain way, and then we think, oh God, I'm such an awful person. Or no, that was nothing to do with you. Doesn't mean to say you don't take responsibility. Doesn't mean to say that you don't care. But as long as you do everything with a good heart and a good moral compass,
and it comes from the right place.
And it comes from the right place with good intention and love. Then think people might interpret things that you say and what have you. But I think, we've got one shot, and obviously what's happened to us as a family has made it massive for us, because we value every day now. Like, it's just incredible. And I know it's that sort of like in the now moment, and so sometimes that has to happen for you to be like this, but does everybody have to wait for trauma for it to happen? Can you not start and it's like little increments as well, And then I wanted to dip into the seasons, because we do seasonal retreats. Obviously we're in the winter season, which is all about nourishing, nurturing, resting, sleeping, because in the spring we're all rested, we've had time to think, so we all pop out like the daffodils, bright and breezy, energetic, the light comes in. So it's an opportunity to then start building on all the things that you would like to do. And I think we've also forgotten what they are. It's like you were saying earlier, weren't you, Juliet? Like, we're so busy, and society makes us so busy. I mean, I just watch Harry and Paul by design. They just watch loads of sport. I mean, I get that, but they're so busy because it's like another competition, and there's no space for anything else for them, because they're so caught up in. And I'm not saying
it's a distraction as well.
Yeah, it is a distraction, because keep us busy, then we don't have time to be in silence. Like, they think I'm mad. Like, I don't watch the telly really, and so And Paul says, oh, well, everybody else was watching this series and all the rest of it. And I said, oh, that's lovely. But I said, at one point in time, someone put a TV in your house, didn't they? But does that mean that we have to watch the TV? No, we don't have to watch the TV. I hate all stuff that's on there most of the time anyway. It's propaganda, it's violence. I would come in here and watch a movie, Paul's watching a movie and someone's having their throat slit. And I'm going, oh my God, I can't laugh at awful. And just sitting there. Just sitting there. It's become so desensitised to violence. So it doesn't mean to say I don't know what's going on in the world, but I choose for me to be part of the new world, part of what we want to create. Not what we're living in now, in all this fear and division and religion and colour and politics. I know it's going on, and I think for me personally, I think we're in an amazing time of being on earth, of the Great Awakening, where we're going to see a lot of the masculine energy be revealed and the feminine energy comes in. It's not male or female. Feminine energy is the more nurturing, the more caring, the more loving, to balance it, because you need both. You need a man and a woman to create life. So you need both, but it's coming in to balance it. And I think we can be the caretakers of our future if we want to. We really can. And it can just be the smallest thing, like I said earlier. Say to someone, you look amazing today. The ripple effect is amazing. Or do the website. Who cares what anyone thinks? Look, I didn't get there easily. I did the work, which is what Frankie said. I did my website and I was thinking, oh my God, I was like a nervous wreck, and I pressed the button and it went out there. But I've learned to accept the fact that that's for me to do. There's going to be someone having an opinion, always, because it's their journey.
You need to worry less about other people's opinions.
Absolutely. You're so right, Amanda. Yeah, you are. Yeah. And and that's not easy. You can't, you're not, otherwise you wouldn't be human to worry about it, but you have to decide to the level, acknowledge it, feel it, let go of it. There's lots of techniques to do that. It's just stuff to be aware of. And
I heard a great thing the other day on a podcast. They were talking about how we put a lot of energy into overthinking and worrying about stuff. Imagine what would happen if you put as much energy into imagining it going right and everything being great, which is obviously manifesting. So actually you would start to realise you can catch yourself doing it. I'm starting to think, I don't know, something really simple like having a dinner party. Is everyone going to have a good time? Will they like the food? That's none of your business. Just do it. Let them work it out for themselves.
How freeing to just be like, oh, who cares?
But we do.
Like, I'm doing the best I
think everything.
Why does our brain take us into that negative
It's conditioning and control over the years, I think.
What's coming up fear, isn't it?
It's permission. So you're giving yourself permission, and then by saying you look beautiful in your red coat, you're giving them permission to be beautiful. We're setting ourselves free from something we've been held. I know I've gone a bit big on this, but we've been held for so long.
Why are we allowing?
I think it's also fear of judgment. But I think, as you just said, like, for example, with me doing the podcast, at first I was so like, my God, like, what if people think I'm weird? Like, this is pretty nuts. Like, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. But all that's happened is actually people come up to me and be like, wow, and all positive things. But why did I not initially think that? Like, why was my first? And then when I did go do it,
it's been conditioned, haven't we?
Our default setting is to worry.
But then I did have this moment of just like, oh, who cares?
Because we've got to win at everything. You can't fail, and what is winning and what is failing. It's been so doctored into us.
Exactly.
I think that also comes from being a caring person. I think some people aren't caring and they don't really care what other people think, whereas we're all
if you're an empath,
you do care.
And actually, and the other thing that I read in the book, I do loads of. I don't really read a lot of novels. I always read
self-help stuff.
Well, anything to do with the afterlife, near-death experiences, shamanic reading, any other self-care. I just love it. Diets, nutrition. And now I forgot what I was going to say because it was linked to what you were going to say. Oh my God!
Whether you're an empath, so you won't
Oh yes, I've remembered. It's kind of like, when people say to you, "Oh, you're so sensitive," and now we go, "No, I'm not." Own it. Yeah, I am.
It's all about tone.
I am sensitive, and I love being sensitive.
Yeah, it's all
because
about
I
tone.
feel.
Like also how you speak to yourself, you know, when you're like, oh my god, I have no plans. I love this notion in my head of like reframing that and being like, oh my god, I have no plans.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
That's so true.
Yeah, like reframing
Yes.
it, like these horrible things and just like, I can't really think of another one, but that's another one like, oh, I'm so sensitive, and it's like, oh, I'm such a sensitive person. I don't feel things.
I
like,
love the fact that you're like that.
reframe just the tone of what you're saying, and it changes the whole meaning.
What can they do then?
But in the current world, we need sensitive people.
Let's
We do. Totally. No.
Just retone it, and then it changes the whole
Yeah, it's
meaning.
very true, actually.
I think there's a lot of people who are sensitive, but they think they're defensive. You know, they don't.
Oh, I get
realise,
that a lot. Yeah.
You know, that they.
Do you? What, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if I have an opinion or I say something, or
Yeah.
I'm upset about something, or I put an emotional thing into it, I mean, it's like, oh, you're so defensive. I'm just giving you my feelings. Or I'm not saying that it's your responsibility for my feelings, but I'm still telling you that's how I am
saying
feeling.
about them. I think that's saying about them.
Of course
isn't
it is.
I can't cope with you.
I can't cope with your feelings.
Yeah, that's more about them than it does about you.
A lot of life's like that.
Yeah. Some you can't like control how someone else is going to behave
just
towards
gonna
you,
shut
or
them
you
down.
control
They're
yourself.
projecting their
Well, and
reality.
Yeah, exactly.
And it sort of wasn't even going to talk about this today, which is why I quite like this hour, because I have ideas, but it doesn't really matter where it goes. It depends on the conversation, because I think you've all been listening and taking in lots of information, and it's nice to have a bit more of a casual time to explore certain things and hear what everybody has to say. And I forgot. There's so much going on in my head. Frankie, I think it was after you said something.
About being sensitive.
Reframing, retoning.
And not living fear as much.
I know what it is. I do get there pretty quickly. But it's all yes. But don't you think this links in to being authentic?
Yes, but it's fear of not being authentic.
Because I have a very different worldview of what's going on at the moment compared to a lot of my friends. And it's really hard. It's getting less hard because more and more people are seeing what I'm seeing. I never asked to see it like this, and I did. And actually, it's taught me to be authentic for myself. That doesn't mean to say I'm right down the middle of the road and blah, blah, I will temper it and all the rest of it, but I do it in a nice way. But I've learned to be more and more authentic, because I know, and people might choose to think differently, I know that my authenticity comes from a loving heart. I know it does. And I have a good moral compass, and I care about people. But because of other people's worldviews, I'm actually challenging their perception of life. I'm challenging how they see the world, and it's not that easy for people. So they'd rather throw it back at me than just, or even just look at it. Like someone was really rude to me the other day, and I use this quite a bit now. They were quite rude to me about something, and I just had a view about something. And I said, you don't have to agree with me, but it's just my view. And their response was not particularly nice. And I said, who gave you permission to speak to me like that?
That's good.
Gosh.
And honestly, again, you talked about it. So it's reversing that permission thing, isn't it? You were saying about, we feel that we've got to have permission to be X, Y, and Z. So you then say, who gave you permission to speak to me like
So
that?
you have to agree with you.
And they said, and they looked at themselves then, and they went, I'm sorry.
Good.
It was actually quite easy. I was like, oh, that's good. What? I'm going to use that again.
Did you know them really well? Or
Yeah, really well.
Did you?
Oh, very well. Yeah, really, really well. And they went, I'm sorry.
Ah.
I said, you don't have to agree with me, but that's just my view. And it goes down to being authentic again,
It's
doesn't
very
it?
brave as well.
Yeah.
It's very brave.
Really brave.
Good on you, Deb. But also, you're challenging their safety. That's
I know,
the main
exactly. And we've touched on safety quite a lot, haven't we? I've noticed that a few of the practitioners today have mentioned about telling our body and our mind that we're safe. And I think because they've made themselves safe in a bubble, and you're poking their bubble, it could be anything. Like it could be politics, it could be this, it could be that, it could be a relationship, it could be anything. And you poke, and people don't like it, so they'd rather defend the bubble than listen to another potential or possibility. So you take quite a lot of hits.
It's quite hard to be like, also not be judgmental of them not being open-minded.
Yes.
That's like a weird thing.
I know, but it's
you
true.
don't want to find yourself almost in the same position.
Yeah.
Judging them.
Yeah.
being compassionate.
Whilst they're judging you.
Which has been my journey, and I would absolutely put my hands up. I've learned a lot about myself as well through that journey. But being authentic is really important, because we have to honour who we are. We have to respect who we are, and we live with ourselves 24/7, and no one else has got the job to represent ourselves and love ourselves and look after ourselves and be authentic. And if we don't do that, what are we telling our body? What are we telling ourselves?
What are we telling our family?
What are we telling our family? Yeah. So if we can get to be authentic, it's a really good message to family. You're absolutely right. I love that. And if we don't do that, what are we telling our body? And then there's compromise in the body, isn't there? And then there's fight, because you know the truth is this, but you're not doing it, are you? You're not living your truth. So then you're creating friction and resistance in your life, in your mind, in your body, and that in itself causes disease and all sorts of things. So I think it's really important to be authentic. And again, it's not easy in the world at the moment, but I think the more of us that do it in a beautiful way, then others will think, oh, I'm going to be like, and I'm sure that will start affecting people's mental well-being, because we wear so many masks. Even in grief, everything that says, how are you? Of course I'm not fine, but people don't want to know. So you put on a mask, I put on loads of masks, but I put less on now.
To protect them, really.
Well, yeah, it is really.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, because,
I think what you said about being brave is really important, because I was just thinking about, I've got a friend who always bitches about all of our other friends. It's because she's hugely insecure.
Yeah.
I really want to pick her up on it.
Do it.
But I've been on the receiving end of aggression before, when I've said something in the wrong way, and I'm like, that's in the back of my mind.
But you're saying it from a good intention, and that's all that matters.
And I think
because you don't want to be a part of that.
I don't want
toxicity almost.
Get
So
into
it's like you're
bitching
creating
about
boundaries for yourself.
It's not nice, is it?
No, it's not nice. And then I wonder what she's saying about me, because I'm
but do you
sure
care?
they'll be saying.
Yeah, you're then there like, right, talking
Well,
about
she
all
will
our
be.
friends like this to me.
But it's how you say it to her as well, isn't it? It's kind of like, you can choose what words you use and how you say it to her. And if you know it's coming from good intent from you.
Who
Well, I
gave
also
you
think
permission
in
to speak like that?
confrontation, if you make it more about you,
Yes,
and
you
tell
could use that
You
one.
could use that.
But I think like in confrontation, when you we talk about this a lot, when you make it about you and you're not putting anything onto them, because that's when people get defensive.
Yes,
You go,
I agree.
you're this, you're that, I don't like this about you. But if you just go, I don't feel too comfortable in this conversation, as those are our friends, I might just like remove
She's so
myself
insecure though,
slightly.
she'll be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And it will, or I know
Yeah.
exactly how the conversation will go. and
But she will hear
so I'm
those
not
words
brave and I
though.
avoid it.
But she will hear
Do
those
you?
words. If no one said that, and then you are the first person to say, I feel uncomfortable, you're not pointing fingers at her, you just, because she's obviously talking to other people.
Does
So
she
you're
do
not
it with other people as well, do you
But
think?
you could just say, I feel uncomfortable. I think
Because that's just your emotion, because then she can't get angry at you for an emotion you feel, because it's yours to have. She might, but as in she will go away and think about it, and it will probably sit with her more than you think.
Don't
it will.
lose. I think that it's really lovely to realise the importance of sowing those little seeds of thought. You can do that quite in a nice way without, because like you say, if you point fingers, people just get defensive, don't they?
Some
But
people
so-
don't have emotional intelligence.
No.
though, do they? Some people have lack of awareness that's intrinsically inside
Yeah.
of them. They don't get it.
No.
So not everybody has
No,
that emotional
exactly.
intelligence. do they?
No.
They all
So
probably
when
don't.
you're
Maybe
having
she says
conversation
something
and then you're
like
like,
negative about
how
stuff
can you
instead of
not
saying,
see it?
just say, but I think, but I think, but I think, I like the way she does that. So you sort of almost like, you've reframed it.
You've counterbalanced it, haven't you?
And then it will make her think. So you've not mentioned anything about her. And what she's doing. She does that, and just keep coming back with, oh, but she does, so I quite like, and so you're not
Or could you say, "Oh, I thought you
Or
I thought
drop
you
her
were
as
a friend of hers"?
Do
Or
you know what I think though?
Yeah.
We come up with a game, and I think if you own your feelings, the game's over.
Yeah, I agree.
It's stopped. Because if you start playing a game of trying to introduce stuff, she's going to play right back with you.
Yeah.
She probably does.
Maybe, I don't know.
But it's not for you to be authentic. It's not to teach somebody in that sense, if you know what I mean. If you
Yeah, I
own
see what
your
you're saying.
feelings, you're setting that authenticity of. Sorry, this
But
is
she
just
won't
my
react well, but
how I
you know, I
feel.
suppose that's just.
does she expect you to agree with her, or
Oh,
she
yes,
just
that's
is she
what
just
me to-
okay? So
yeah.
she's not just going off and
No.
so she actually wants you to say yes. I've
complicit in
noticed
the-
that. Okay.
Yeah.
But you've been congruent with yourself, haven't you? And then that's it. That's authenticity. That's
Yeah.
Or literally walk away.
I've had it once before when a friend of mine was talking about another friend of mine years ago, and it was something that had gone on between them, but I was best friends with both of them, and one of them started speaking negatively about the other one because she had been hurt, and I just went, look, I respect that you're hurt, but I'm not going to sit in this conversation whilst you speak badly about my other friend, because she's also my best friend. And she just went, because I think that was quite
really
shocking,
good.
the age we were
You
doing,
almost
but
have to feel sorry for that person because that person's probably coming from a place of
Agreed.
fear.
Yeah, they were nice. I get it because they were like, I don't want to get involved.
It was
Like,
fine.
interesting. They've got to find their own way. haven't they?
Yeah, so
But Vanessa said something to me recently. There was someone had acted really badly in a particular situation, and everyone else go, "Oh, that awful person." And Vanessa said, "What has happened to that person?"
Yeah.
to be like that?"
Yeah. Well, I think more like
I
that. I do
thought,
too.
wow.
Yeah.
I don't judge in terms of like you're just being nasty. I think was it me and you who were having this conversation?
Probably.
And I'm more now. I'm like, oh my god, I really feel for that person. Like, what has made them so angry? It's this tiny thing has triggered them. Or
It's
what
the bullies at
what
school, you
trauma?
feel sorry for
No
them.
one knows like a happy bully. Like bullies are almost like you're definitely going through something that's making you angry and take it out on me.
Yeah. No one knows.
So then you take ownership away from yourself, and you're like,
because they're not
that's
happy.
a them thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like take it on as a me thing. But it's
I know.
hard still.
True. I'm going to read the back of this book to loop us back to courageous dreaming. Modern physics teaches us that we're all dreaming the world into being with every thought. So it links into the power of our thoughts. The ancient shamans of the Americans understood that we're not only creating our experience of the world, but are dreaming up the very nature of our reality. That is itself but a dream. When we don't dream our existence, we have to settle for how others conceive our world. This fascinating book tells you how to dream your own world with power and grace. It shows you how to wake up from the collective expectations and begin to fashion a life of courage and grace. The sacred dream that shamans throughout the time have known and served. Really. So I think, I don't know, I think it's going back to the start of the conversation, it's bringing that all back in again. And, you know, and going back to lots of the teachings of the shamans and Ayurvedic medicine and energetic healing and how all the, you know, like how the Aboriginals used to live. I mean, they lived in tune with nature. They lived in tune with the seasons, with the moon and all the rest of it. And I do think that's changing. I do think people are wanting that more. There's a desire that I even hear some of the kids, I guess, getting fed up with their phones now, and they're getting a bit fed up with
it's all
technology.
kicking off now, isn't it?
Lots of little shifts now, like, you know, with AI, we don't know what to believe anymore, and that's
really
what's
scary.
weird. But I see duality in everything, and I think about this a lot, and I think that it's a bit like a pendulum, isn't it? Like we've gone so far, and people are pushing us to be more reliant on AI and technology, and it probably will be a part of our life, but then everyone does rebalance, I think, always. I'm a true believer of that, because there's duality to everything. And I think what's quite beautiful about the fact that we don't know what's true anymore, you know, we see visuals, we see stuff on social media, what that's reminding us is to go back to our gut and our heart. What's our gut telling us? What's our heart telling us? And let go of all the noise, really. And I try to do that more. I think I've just shifted into this space recently where I I'm being more and more of the eagle on the perch. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Being like the observer. And I mean, we've had a few conversations, and I know that you've sort of alluded to that sort of thing, and it's really, really lovely. And it's kind of like, know who you are, love who you are, speak your truth, and sit on the perch and be the witness.
Yeah, love that. It's so much more peaceful.
And there's no resistance. Be authentic, be loving. Let everybody be noisy. Just watch the noise over there and the drama over there, and and learn from it. I suppose you can if you're on your eagle's perch and you're just watching, being the witness, and not getting absorbed in it. And I that's been a massive shift for me this season. It really, really has.
Sorry, I was just going to say, it's just beautiful when people will come alongside you then, because they realise you're not trying to get in front of them.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Fighting for your space in every conversation, in everything, and all the rest of it, like wanting to be heard and all the rest of it. Does it matter? What really, really matters? I was going to get you to do mood boards. We haven't probably got time now. Because I've got all the magazines and the things and all the rest of it. But I think because we're going to have a talk on cacao at 3, and I think maybe we'll spend a lot more time in the April one doing mood boards. I'm happy for you to take some of the sheets away and maybe start thinking about doing a mood board at home. Maybe if you did that, and then you could send me
So a mood board about how you're feeling?
Well, don't be too prescriptive about it. It doesn't matter, a mood board, because I think, we said at the beginning of the conversation, we will be coming out of the winter nurturing season, and we'll be sort of popping up like the daffodils and looking, hello, I'm here, and what do you want to do with it? I've come out for my little bundle and I'm ready to shine now. So, and look, it's the Leo moon. So it's, shine brightly. So maybe I've got plenty of paper if you wish to take them away. I'll keep the scissors and the Pritt stick because we do a bigger session another time. But maybe just go home and think about what makes you happy. Go through some magazines. Don't look for something. Just flick through it and stop when you smile. Or stop when you have a reminder. And it might be something. Yeah,
it's on the front.
So don't necessarily be, but just remind yourself.
Yeah.
Because the world's very good at telling you the sad stuff. It's very good at telling you the negative stuff. It's very good at selling you fear and division and sadness. And you need to counteract this with your energy.
Do you ever listen to the news or no? Never.
Honestly, Paul puts it on every single day at 10 p.m. and I'm like...
And you go to bed on that negativity.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not aware of what's going on in the world, but I don't choose to have fear and division thrown at me through the news.
Well, so why is the news so everything's negative? I get it, there's a lot of shit stuff going on in the world, but no one ever talks about how
and there's so
much when the London Marathon's on, there's never that much about
the magazine.
Yes, what was that?
It failed.
But it's
very interesting.
But also,
people conditioned to click on negative.
Why? And I'm like, sometimes I have the Apple News app just has notifications on, and that will keep me nice and updated of what's going on in bit and bobs,
too much of your time.
Yeah. And then sometimes it will come up with a really nice story, and I'm like, that's just completely changed my day. You get on the 8 o'clock train to London, it's a negative one, you're like, there's my day gone to shit. Or you see a nice one and you're like, that's so nice, someone's just raised loads of money for charity, and you're like,
no. And I used to get the kids when they were young something called the Happy newspaper.
No, what was it called?
That's going on in England.
Flick through things. It's I follow this Instagram page that's good things happening in the world, and it's pandas actually, or maybe not panda, there's an animal that's no longer actually extinct.
Like polar bears.
Extinct.
Like polar bears are increasing.
Yeah, that's something else. Australia, and I do social media. I was like, please, great things.
Did you think it seemed a lot more positive in Australia? I mean, I know you were in there for...
Well, I don't know, I didn't really... Yeah, it was difficult because I wasn't there to advise. Well, we're on the ley lines, we're on these energetic ley lines. So, well, I won't get into that.
Outdoorsy, sunshine, there's a lot more positive.
Absolutely.
Whereas here, I feel like everywhere you look, it's negative. There's so much negativity.
It's by design. Because then it sells you stuff and you go and buy stuff to make yourself happy. And then you're disempowering yourself again because you're going out to buy yourself a bit of some clothes or you're going to get a new product that's young or, do you know what I mean? You're constantly so sad, oh my God, life's so hard, I've got to cheer myself up, and in come the ads. I mean, it's so obvious when you see it, in come the ads, but spend a bit of money, we'll look after you, you disempower yourself time and time again. So do a mood board in your own time, send me pictures, and just start putting out what makes you happy.